Good morning. I think David's going to be here any second. I'm looking forward to talking to him. Haven't seen him this morning. He's sabotaging my poll question. We think we have one done already. There he is.
Good morning, Ambient, Wancho, Baby Jules. Hello?
Good morning.
All right.
That right there, you guys all witnessed some serious show prep. This is what we do. It's how we get ready.
What else do we need? The guests are booked. The poll question's done. I mean, all three of us showed up. I mean, what more do we have?
Been driving both cars because the wife's got something wrong with her car. So instead of driving it, she has me drive it until she can get it fixed. I left my crap in her car. Well, and the kicker is it's a hub bearing, we think. Right. And the lady told my wife, well, yeah, the wheel could fall. I mean, I don't think anything happened, but the wheel could fall off. So I've been driving the car for 2 days.
There you go. This is perfect. Yep. Honey, I don't know if the car's safe, so why don't you drive it?
Right.
And pick up our daughter from school.
I didn't even do that yesterday. Oh, boy. Don't even want to get into that.
What, parent pickup or just a busy or?
No, first real, I can't get into it on here, but little school incident. Maddie got in a little trouble. She's got a boy who likes her and keeps asking her to be a girlfriend, and she finally said something that she can't say.
Yes, there you go. Now we're talking.
She kind of vaulted.
Where do you think she got that word from?
I don't know. It wasn't a swear word.
Look at that.
If she wasn't the little angel of that school, she would be in real trouble.
Well, there's a 4-year-old on TikTok that put a boy Jake, ironically enough, who kept asking her to go out, and finally he asked her to marry him, and so she put him in a headlock and threw him down, and Mom said, "You can't do that." And she said, "Why, Mommy? It was the best thing ever." I could send it to you. You could show it to Maddie and go, "Listen, this is how you handle it next time. You just put him in a headlock, throw him down."
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Man, we're already at that point of the week. We got to get over the hump together. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And if you were to take the show in via the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, you'd see that the two of us have two different shades of blue on. It's almost like we coordinated. Trust me, we didn't. We don't talk after about 10:03 a.m.
But that's not true. Last night, the texts were flowing, David. Doing a little late night show prep.
Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, Mark Miller, if you weren't with us, was inspired. And he was inspired during the baseball hour. And he fired up a poll question before 6:30. And the poll question got really good response. And so Mark is convinced that A, we have to have a poll question every day. B, we have to have it up by 6:30. And C, we have to communicate all right, in between shows as to what the poll question is going to be so we can hit the ground running. Now, Miller and Moulton have been doing this thing together for 17 years, and this is Act 3, and we don't talk for 20 hours a day. From 10A to 6A, we don't talk. If there's something really funny or really big in the sports world, there may be a text.
And there have been more texts lately, typically during football season on the weekend, during games or game day or something. There is communication more on the weekends during football season than there is the rest of the year. I think that's safe to say.
Right. And see, to me, weekends don't count. We're not doing a show. On weekends, we're just friends. Monday through Friday, we're co-hosts. Friday night through, Sunday night, we're friends. Okay. And yeah, you're watching a game. I might be at a game, this, that, and the other thing, hey, what city are you in? Make sure you go check out this restaurant, that sort of thing. But anyway, Mark described apparently how life is going to be on Miller and Moulton going forward as, quote, think of it as a shape up. Well, first off, I'm fat. I've been fat for a while. And by a while, I mean going back to the George W. Bush administration. Secondly, I have had to listen over the course of 17 years to about every 6 to 13 weeks, Mark going, okay, all right, I'm on a shape up. I'm on a plan. I've given up this, given up that. I'm working out. Right. So, Mark, have I had one shape up plan in the 17 years that we've known one another?
I think you've had 2 or 3. You had one because you worked with a trainer for a while.
I did.
You had one other one that I remember.
Okay.
And then you got sick.
Well, cancer doesn't count as a shape-up plan.
It's the most weight you lost in one shot, though. It's got to count for something.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't want to joke about the big C, but, man, if I could have that effect again right now, that'd be fantastic. So, I've had 2 with an asterisk in the 17 years that we've been doing this. How many have you had in the 17 years?
607.
Okay. So when he said shape up plan, I'm like, okay, yeah, please. That's it. Forget it. So sure enough, at 8:30 something last night, the texts start coming. All right. I want this idea for a poll question. Hey, did you see what Tomlin said about the fans? Okay. Dumb, fat, and happy. And blah. I think we should do something about that. Oh. He included Felipe in on the text. Felipe's at work, probably going, really? Do I need to be a part of this? Okay. And so I just had to just hit him over the head with a 4x4. I just said, here's the poll question. Boom. He goes, love it, Dano. See you in the morning.
1 for 1.
Right. 1 for 1.
Look at that.
Yep. This shape up's going to kill me. I don't know what it's going to do for you. So apparently now we're communicating, ladies and gentlemen. The 4 hours a day is not enough. See, we subscribe to the Regis and Kathy Lee and Regis and Kelly and how they made it work. They didn't talk for 23 hours a day. Well, that's not true. Regis and Kathy Lee were friends. Hell, the couples went out together. But, I mean, he didn't talk to Kelly at all. He didn't even like Kelly. Okay, I mean, the first time they spoke to one another when they were holding hands, walking onto the show together. And then that was it. And then as soon as it was over, they were gone. Now, Mark and I actually like one another. We've stopped holding hands. All right. And we do the show. And then that's it. Honestly, who do you spend more quality time with outside of your wife and daughter than me a week?
Oh, it's not close.
Okay. We need to communicate more.
See, unlike you, I am not a fan of the Regis and Kelly format. I would actually like to produce the show a little bit more. I would like to have a little bit more direction. It's not your thing. So I don't fight you on this. But you have always said that you want a poll question. It's a bigger deal to you than it is to me. Yesterday, you're right, David. I was excited. We had a poll question. We had 274 people respond to it, or whatever the hell it was. But for us, that's a pretty decent number.
Right.
And we went, wow, all right.
Yeah.
And you can get some of the show. The show can be easier if there's a poll question, because you can go back to it, discuss it, take the comments from the Twitch audience, the text audience, the X audience, and incorporate that into the show. I mean, like KW right off the bat said the first poll question should be, will Mark's attempt at a daily poll question last longer or shorter than 4 days?
Unfortunately, KW, I think out of spite it will last longer, but I don't think it will last 10.
There is no doubt that it will last longer than 10 days. The spite factor alone.
No, he will not make it into October. He won't. He will fall apart. He will collapse. There will be a midweek night of heavy wine drinking, okay, that will ensue, okay, with his wife. And then all of a sudden he will fall off the proverbial show prep wagon, okay, and we'll be lucky just to get on the air the next morning. I mean, I'm telling you. But okay, fine. Going along with it. You make some good points. We probably should, produce more. It'd probably tighten the show up a little bit. And believe me, the show could use some tightening up. All right. And you're right. I am the poll question guy on the show. I think it would make the show better. So you got me. Okay. To start out, you've dragged me in. We're going to joint work out and shape up together. Right. Okay. Our poll question yesterday was, should ESPN have shown a replay of the Nick Chubb injury? Yes or no? Okay. Or no, that's not how we phrased it. We asked, did ESPN do the right thing in not showing the Nick Chubb injury?
Right.
And much to our surprise, 73% of you said ESPN did the right thing by not showing a replay of the Nick Chubb injury. I mean, we're genuinely surprised. That's 8 out of 11 of you said ESPN did the right thing. Miller and Moulton are 2 of the 3 out of the 11 who are like, no, man, I want to see a replay. Now, you can give me the whole disclaimer and say this is not going to be pleasant to watch. If you don't want to see it, turn away. But here's what happened. And you show it once, and then that's it. Because everybody in the stadium ended up seeing it. Hell, they had it on the Jumbotron. All right. Everybody eventually ends up seeing it on Twitter/X, YouTube, what have you. But so we were in the minority yesterday in a big way.
And I did R&D throughout the day of people that I talked to that don't go on X or didn't vote on our poll question. And that was it wasn't the show, it was everybody. I talked to my son for a while. He goes, no, I don't ever need to see those replays. Never.
Huh. That's interesting. My wife was in the majority. My daughter was like us in the minority. Okay. And then she looked at me and said, Dad, does that say something about you and I? Okay. And the look on her face was like there's something inherently wrong with the two of us. And I looked at her and said, no, honey, it means we believe in transparency. And she was looking at me like, I know that's your story and you're sticking to it, but I'm not sure that you're right here. It may mean actually that we have a character flaw.
And it very well may mean that. But that's just one of many when it comes to character flaws with Miller and Moulton.
It's another thing to put on our David Sampson t-shirts. That's another thing. All right. David Sampson was on the show yesterday. He's got merchandise that he's selling. DavidSampsonPodcast.com is apparently where you can get it. Apparently he's wearing David Sampson shorts while he was doing the show. He had on a nice blazer, dress shirt and a blazer, but he had on David Sampson shorts. And so then that got us. We've only been thinking about merchandise for 15 years.
But we've already got a poll question today. Let's walk before we run. I mean,
hot damn, the shape up is underway, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know if you're going to like the Miller and Moulton show shape up.
Right.
Not real life.
No.
In fact, Mark was boasting about how well the show shape up was going last night with our communication and settling on a poll question for today. And I said to him, we'll celebrate by having some Oreos.
And I would have, but I've eaten most of my daughter's box of Oreos, and I don't take the last one because that would just be cruel.
Wow, you're down to one?
I'm afraid to look. I've had so many in this box.
You got to go get another box.
Yeah,
man.
they're all aware of what I've done. The
Well,
Costco one's coming.
I thought you made an announcement.
I let everybody know in the family because there's another snack. My daughter wanted some other snack for school. I think it was like a beef jerky. My daughter likes beef jerky, so my wife was going to get those little beef sticks. And they looked at me and they went, "Now these are going to be for her. You're not going to eat them." And I said, enough of this. I said, I've had enough of the two of you. If it's in the pantry, then I'm going to eat it. How long have you known me? If there's potato chips, you put your Pringles in there, I'm going to eat them. You put your Oreos in there, I'm going to eat them. And you bring some beef jerky home, I'm going to eat them. And if you don't finish your own ice cream and you go to bed with a half a pint of Ben & Jerry's in the freezer, there's a good chance when you wake up, it's going to be gone.
Hey, my name's on the mailbox too. Come on now.
Had it around here, for crying out loud.
If I contribute to paying of the bills, then I get to contribute to the eating of the fridge.
And by contribute, that means 85% of the eating in the household.
Right. Right. 35% of the bills, 85% of the food. That's how we roll here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd, with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
There it is. Poll questions up. Which means the next segment's done. R&D team getting me good, bad, and ugly stories. That's what I'm talking about. Got a good night's sleep last night. I'm pretty dangerous.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
So I will say this. I won't get into that, but we have the long talk with the daughter after dinner at the kitchen table.
Oh, yeah.
My mom had come over because I was running late yesterday, so she picked my daughter up from school, stayed for dinner, and we all had a drink with dinner. And we had a cocktail. So I made my wife a cocktail. I made my mother and I cocktails. As we're having the talk with my daughter, she gets up and she cried and she goes to blow her nose. She's standing at the edge of the kitchen. And I know, I'm sorry, she's been sore. So she wanted to take some medicine, some aspirin, Motrin or whatever. So she goes to get the Motrin out of the pantry and she sets it down. And my wife looks, and on the counter, because I had made margaritas for my mother and I had made this aviator drink for my wife. So there's literally 6 bottles of liquor on the counter. We've just finished this long talk. There's lots of crying and all this. My wife leans over to me. She goes, "It's not the best look right now, is it?" Because all you see are bottles of booze in my daughter's head. We just lost it.
And your daughter might have been thinking, instead of the Motrin or whatever, gonna just take a shot of one of these.
She's not the best look. She goes, "Well, she's got her medicine. We've got ours."
There you go.
Oh gosh, it's too funny. Look at that poll questions up. People are voting.
People are voting. We haven't even told people what the question is yet.
Well, they can read it on X.
Oh, that means they have to be into our poll question. How could they be into our poll question? We never have them. Nice, T. Haynes. Nice. Wow. You should let Mark know. Apparently, double stuffed Oreos were BOGO last week at Publix. You don't shop at Publix, do you?
Not as much anymore. They're too damn expensive. Publix is outrageously expensive. Me and Aldi and Costco are my places. Handful of things at Publix, but not much. I saw that one, KW, yesterday. That is a good one.
Is that the guy who jumped into the pit in Buffalo?
Well, that's one, but the other one he's got is the 3 bear family jumped into a Krispy Kreme truck in Alaska and just started downing donuts.
Hell, I'd adopt the bears. My mother would. It was a key part of one of her last visits to Jacksonville. I put her in a hotel that was half a mile from a Krispy Kreme. Every morning she went out of the hotel, made a left, get her breakfast. Yeah, Coffin Bod is crazy. You know what's crazy?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Happy hump day. Let's get over it together, shall we? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good show lined up, if we do say so ourselves. David Bearman, Pro Football Network, will join us a little more than an hour. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott in our 8 o'clock hour. They are regulars. Heck, we already got tomorrow lined up for that matter. Roy Cummings, Jeff Cameron, talk a little Bucks, little Knowles. All right. Dr. Roto taking your fantasy football questions. I mean, man, it's like we got our you-know-what together. Poll questions up by 6:30 in the morning. Guests lined up days in advance. What the heck is going on? How much tighter do you want this Miller and Moulton show to get there, Miller?
You're getting to where I like it. You're finally coming around, David.
17 years, you almost had me broken in. Is that what you're saying?
Couple more conversations in the nighttime hours. We should have this thing running.
I feel like I'm the
fine-tuned
family
machine.
I feel like I'm the family dog. I'm finally getting the newspaper at the end of the driveway or something, finally. Just about ready when, you get ready to be done with me. But anyway, so, no surprise in St. Pete yesterday, the announcement, Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times broke the story on Monday morning, for that matter. And maybe there was some surprise in some of the details for some. But can we advance this story and actually kind of go to a totally different stadium story, if you will? I saw somebody who I thought made a really good point on Twitter/X. He's a Tampa resident, and he said, Tampa residents need to get over this whole race thing. Okay, the fact of the matter is that St. Pete and Pinellas County stepped up. Okay, and the city of Tampa and then Hillsborough County, didn't, if you will, at the end of the day. And the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County has another issue that needs to be addressed. And he said it's Ray J. First off, the stadium's approaching 30 years old. We know what happens when stadiums approach 30 years old. What do owners say? I need a new one. Or I need major repairs. And secondly, Mark, he brought up what you brought up to me personally and on air 10 years ago, which is you can't go to a football game in this state in September. It's too hot. There's no shade. You fry like an egg. And he said, Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa need to start discussing, we got to get some shade at Ray J. Okay. Those that went to the South Florida, Alabama game. And I know it was interrupted, a storm and all that. And then, the Bucs game on Sunday. Mark, the Jags coming off one of their most successful seasons ever, record ticket sales for the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason. The Super Bowl champion Chiefs are in town for their home opener. And half the fans either sold their tickets or didn't show because they're like, I ain't mid-September in that stadium. There's less shade in that stadium than there is at Ray J. And at Ray J, there's if you're on the boat, there's like a flag you can hide under. That's about it. But at least you got that. Otherwise you got to be in one of those pools in the cabanas in Jacksonville. Otherwise, forget it. And that's actually, I think, a serious discussion worth having here. I think that's legit. For the record, there's a poll that just came out in Jacksonville. Apparently 6% of Jacksonville is in favor of subsidizing half of what it is the Jags want to do. 6%. 51% answered the poll question and said, yeah, we don't even care if they leave. That's how against we are contributing in any way to what it is they want. I mean, that's a one pro sport city. No offense to, the AAA baseball team and the AA hockey team. This, I think, is a legitimate discussion in Tampa and Hillsborough County and, quite frankly, other communities in Florida, which is, Mark, you said it just the other day. I won't go to a Gators game before Columbus Day. No way.
Not a chance. And call me soft. It's too damn hot. I'm not going to go out there, be with 100,000 people arm in arm for 4 hours. That nothing about that sounds fun to me.
What was it that Stephen Ross did? $400 million, by the way, out of his own pocket. He provided some shade. Supposedly, if you are in a seat, you are kind of sort of covered. Now, I don't really know if in the first 10 rows that you're kind of sort of covered. I think you're still exposed. But $400 million, by the way. Now, he also had to do it to get a Super Bowl, but that's a whole other story. So, that I think is, as this person was trying to say to Tampa, move on from the Rays. By the way, they're still staying. You can still go and you can still watch and listen. But
we need to fix Ray J.
And quite frankly, Mark, they're talking about they need a new swamp. And they don't know whether or not they're going to be able to do the repairs at the current site or whether or not they're going to have to build elsewhere on campus. Either way, it's going to cost around $1 billion, by the way. And one of the things that was brought up is like, well, if whatever we're going to do, I wouldn't mind a little shade.
Shade in those type of stadiums may cost you seats, and that's something they don't want to do. I mean, the whole point of Saturday is just how many people can we pack into the city so that we can make Gainesville the whatever largest city in the state of Florida. Doesn't really work out as well with the major metropolitan areas that we have in the state, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
It's packing them in. It's not about
suites versus general admission is a legitimate discussion on a college campus. Even Alabama's gone back and forth. They enlarged it to 102,000. They're scaling it back to like 94,000 and adding more suites. But, I mean, that to me is – I'm curious, to the Bucs fan, never mind the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County people who are listening right now. I mean, listen, you're going to have to kick it. Forget the race thing is gone. That's done. No longer worth talking about. Okay, congratulations, St. Pete. Good for the Rays, and I hope they create what the Braves have created. If so, that'll be beyond awesome. Plus, they're going to take care of housing for over 1,000 residents. It'll be amazing if they pull it off. But do we have to, in Tampa, Jacksonville, Gainesville, maybe one day Tallahassee, do we have to start talking about, listen, man, we got to get some shade.
Not throwing shade, we're getting shade.
Right. We need to provide some shade. Then once we're there, we can start throwing some shade. Trash talk to your heart's content, but first we got to cool you down first. Can't have have heat stroke on us.
So Miller and Moulton, 21,000's the text line. Be curious, Tampa St. Pete, what you think about the stadium situation that you're in for football, and is a new one or at least a revamped one necessary?
Yeah. And the sports fans in Florida. I mean, would you pay for shade? I mean, hell, Mark, even in what used to be our yard is now your backyard. FGCU's got a baseball stadium. There's 19 seats in the shade. I mean, we've always talked about it's one of the great values, the minor league baseball team in Southwest Florida. Okay, it's hot. You provide a little shade, that'd be nice.
And maybe more than a little shade. Maybe a few people in the shade. The starting five is coming up next right here. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you just turn a different light on in there? You,
No.
David? No, because there's you're
I know.
you're
That's
yellow.
weird. That's weird. Did something? I wonder if something happened to the camera.
Appears that it did.
I wonder if it's failing.
How old's your computer?
Pretty old. That's weird. Boy, I hope I have to buy a new computer.
Felipe? We're 40 minutes into the show.
I don't know what's going on there. No. I didn't touch nothing. Right.
Hey, whatever you did worked.
Who was it who had the idea basically to white balance the camera? Arch did. That's an old TV thing.
Yeah, that's.
Thanks for the idea, Arch. So we'll do the poll question, then the starting five.
Sounds like a plan. See, look at that.
That's why I did it. It's just part of the shape up. I figured I'd eat.
Lawmakers fighting to preserve AM radio for our safety.
Did you hear about the big announcement in New York? The people that own the FM that ESPN radio's on are shutting down the FM in a year. The Good Karma folks who own the West Palm ESPN. So ESPN radio in New York's only going to be on AM in a year.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour on this hump day. Thanks for making us part of your day. Hope your week's going well so far. Let's get over it together, shall we? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Starting five is coming up. David Bearman of Pro Football Network in an hour. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott in our 8 o'clock hour. All right, it's the revamped, the Shape Up Miller and Moulton program. By this time every day, we're going to have a poll question fired up and ready to go. We're 2 for 2 on the Shape Up. Mark,
you're dripping with sarcasm right now.
Well, I just worked out. I'm shaping up. That's what I'm dripping. I'm dripping sweat.
You are so lucky we're not in the same room right now.
I just got out of the shower.
Where is the fork?
And you know how even when you towel dry your hair, the sweat on the sides is still very much apparent. So, what's our poll question there, buddy? How's your Shape Up going?
Goodness gracious.
Come on, what is it? Tighten this show up. Let's go.
It is your question, after all. When the Hard Rock betting app goes live next week, will you place a bet? It's that simple.
Well,
yes, did before, will again. Yes, for the first time. Little foreigner reference there for David. And no.
By the way, I'm for the first time. I did not use the app when what was it? What did we get? 5 weeks out of it? Something like that?
Something like that.
2 years ago now, was it? And because I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
This federal court thing's taking a while.
They're not quick.
No, they're not. So yeah, absolutely. Did it before, going to do it again. Or, well, yeah, I'm all in now. I wasn't last time. That's me, for the record. I already voted. Or, no, I don't bet on sports. You guys are idiots. Going to lose money.
Just got done doing it, and I'm going to do it again.
So there you go. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter/X, and also floridasportsnetwork.com. 20 minutes now before the hour on the Shape Up version of Miller and Moulton. It is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Rays make it official. They are staying put in St. Pete. $1.3 billion stadium, 30,000 seats, a hard roof, not retractable. It'll be amongst an 86-acre community in and around the current Trop. Raise $700 million. And they've agreed to pay for overruns. That, I think, is actually a key part of the equation, because let's face it, in a lot of places, a lot of times, you get overruns. Although not in Florida as much as elsewhere.
Yeah, we still have them.
Oh, we have them.
And we will with this project.
Right, but it's not like the Bills Stadium. I mean, hell, 3 days after they put shovels in the ground, they already thought that they needed like $300 million more. I mean, in Florida, we at least get like 2 years down the pipe and then go, I don't know, we might be a little short. The $600 million that's coming from elsewhere is going to be split between the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County. So I think in 21st century, 2020's stadium, city, county deals, this is doable, fair. Do I dare say fair, equitable?
I think you're on to something. The owner paying half, however he's doing it, whether he's raising the money, who cares? That's really, no one should be uptight that Stu Sternberg's not paying the $600 million himself, that he's going to bring in investors. Who cares?
So, and by the way, then they're going to sign like a, 25, 30-year lease deal. So from 2028 and then go forward. I mean, just here to the city of St. Petersburg and to Pinellas County. Let's just say you're totally against this. You don't think a penny of your money should be going towards this. And there's a lot of you that think that, no, the billionaires should pay for the whole thing themselves. And I can support that. But answer this question as honestly as you can with the bias that you have against it. So this is $300 million over basically 30 years. Are you saying the Rays aren't worth $10 million a year to the city of St. Petersburg? Are you saying the Rays aren't worth $10 million a year to Pinellas County? I mean, I don't think that's a hard sell. Now, you may not want to give them a dime, but, I live in Jacksonville now. I was in an argument discussion with somebody last week because their proposal's a $2 billion proposal. Basically, they want to split it in half. They want to do this deal, only do a $2 billion deal. And that's $1 billion, obviously, that the county/city has to come up with. And I'm like, okay, let's do the math. Are you trying to tell me that the Jags aren't worth $25-30 million a year to Duval County in the city of Jacksonville? I'd argue it's a bargain. No, that's just me. The Rays won off the field, and then they went and won on the field. They scored 4 in the 8th to beat the Angels 6-2. Rosarena got things started in the first with his 23rd homer. I will say Randy, as he's known, he's just a first-namer now, at least amongst the Rays community, Mark. He's just Randy.
Correct.
Randy is heating up. You know why? Because the playoffs are nearly upon us. See, this whole July after the All-Star game, Randy's like, listen, seriously? Okay, am I needed? How much am I needed? Okay, I mean, we're going to have the stretch run and the playoffs. That's my time. So Rosarena 23rd homer, then 4 in the 8th. Angels announced, by the way, and actually I don't know if the Angels announced. I think just Ohtani and his people announced. He had the elbow surgery yesterday in Japan. They wouldn't call it Tommy John, but they do say he's not going to pitch next year.
Right.
He is going to hit.
Correct.
So when you're signing him to the 9-year, $500 million or 10-year, $550 million contract, just know he's not pitching in 2024.
How much do you think the last month's cost Ohtani?
Not a dime.
Oh, really?
Not a dime. I do think it's one or two teams are now going, you know what? We may not take part in this. But no, I don't think it's cost them a dime. It's difficult, Mark, for me to imagine the Seattle Mariners won't put a blank piece of paper and a pen in front of them. It really is. They already got Rodriguez signed to like the Acuna deal. I mean, they got their superstar player signed. Okay, Ohtani in that community, never mind what he would do on the field. I mean, to me, that's recreating, Griffey and Randy Johnson and Buhner and A-Rod for them. And that's their golden era, the late 90s. So, never mind. You really think come on. You really think Steve Cohen? Do you think Steve cares? Do you think the Dodgers care? I don't know. That's just me. Not a dime. Could be wrong. The problem for the Rays is the Orioles. They just keep winning. Austin Hayes, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. They beat Houston 9-5. So
they're 50-26 on the road. The Orioles.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Really young and really cheap. 2.5 game lead. Magic number is just 8 for the Orioles, and they have 11 games left. Rays have 10. Here's the problem for Houston. You guys better make sure you make the playoffs. You're leading the West down to a half a game. Seattle beat Oakland 7-2. Texas beat Boston 6-4. And by the way, Seattle and Texas are tied for the 6th seed. So you're a game away from being out of the playoffs. I mean, it's a fine line where you're walking here. You're the 2 seed this morning. Tomorrow you could be out. Toronto's the 5 seed, a game ahead of both Seattle and Texas, and half a game ahead of Houston, if you look at it that way. And they beat the Yankees 7-1. Marlins blew a 3-1 lead in the 9th. Good news is they were at home. They got to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Jake Berger with the game-winning RBI single. Marlins 4-3 over the Mets. They remain a half a game behind the Cubs for the final playoff spot in the National League. Cubs beat the Pirates 14-1. Reds drop a game back of the Cubs. Twins beat them 7-0. You combine the Twins win with the Guardians loss. Twins have an 8-game lead. Their magic number is 3. By the way, Arizona's the 5 seed. They're a half a game ahead of the Cubs, a game ahead of the Marlins. They doubled up San Francisco 8-4. The Giants are now 3 back and running out of time. Milwaukee beat the Cardinals 7-3. Their lead is 6 over the Cubs. Their magic number over the Cubs is 6 to win the Central. Acuna with 2 homers and a stolen base. 39 homers, 67 steals. Spencer Strider picked up his 18th win. You're probably looking at the MVP and the Cy Young Award winners. Now, I don't think anybody's pitched better than Blake Snell. Okay, but Strider's got 18 wins, and he's playing for the best team in baseball. He's going to win the Cy Young. 39 homers, 67 steals. He's probably going to be the first 40. When he hits one more homer mark, he's the first 40-60 guy.
Right, because he was the first 30-60 guy, right?
Right. He's going to be the first 40-60, and he probably, now that he's 3 steals away, will make sure he's the first 40-70 guy. Right. Washington beat the White Sox. Blake Snell had 7 hitless innings. They took him out. 104 pitches. Took him out. Did I say he had a no-hitter going to the 8th? Scoreless game. They took him out. They ended up giving 2 hits in the 9th, but fortunately for the Padres, they scored 2 in the 9th and they won.
And that's 6 in a row for the Padres, their longest winning streak of the year.
Right.
Congratulations, San Diego. Wait until you're basically eliminated from the playoffs to put together a winning streak more than 3 games. Way to go, Padres.
They took him out. 7 hitless innings, double-digit strikeouts. What the heck? Buddy Stevens, longtime Dartmouth football coach. He's actually a safety innovator in football. He suffered a horrific bike accident 6 months ago in St. Augustine. He died from those injuries yesterday. He was 66. NFL, Browns brought in Kareem Hunt. They're also looking to trade for Rams running back Cam Akers, and the Rams have said, yeah, we're getting rid of him this week. Highest offer, he goes. Apparently 4 teams have called. Tampa Bay is one of them. Carolina linebacker Shaq Thompson, broken fibula, out for the year. Lions put C.J. Gardner-Johnson and edge rusher James Houston on IR. They think Houston might return. They fear Gardner-Johnson has a torn biceps, and he'd be out for the year. 173 nominees for the Hall of Fame class of 2024, including 9 first-timers, including Julius Peppers and Antonio Gates for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. XFL and USFL seriously discussing a merger. A lot of issues to resolve here. Seriously. How many cities? We're going to play home games or we're going to play neutral site? Competing networks involved? There's a lot to work out, but apparently they realize we're both failing. Let's try to make this one failing entity instead of 2. Rick Barnes has his contract at Tennessee extended through 2028. He's 69 years old. And 4 more Iowa athletes, Mark. 3 football players, 1 basketball, pled guilty to underage gambling. They're fined $645. It's the same deal that 2 Iowa and 3 Iowa State athletes got 2 weeks ago, excuse me. So all these athletes are losing all of their college eligibility for basically plead to misdemeanors and pay a $645 fine. Only in the state of Iowa. Remember, there are no other college athletes betting on college sports except in the state of Iowa. That's it. The other 34 states, and soon to be 35 more if Florida next week, none of those college athletes are betting on college sports. Only Iowa. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
And speaking of betting, Mark, what's our poll question?
When the Hard Rock app goes live, and it will, when are you going to bet? Yes, I did before, and I'll do it again. Yes, for the first time, or no. And right now, 83% of you are betting.
And I do have Foreigner in the back of my head. It feels like the first time.
Just because it's in the back of your head does not mean you have to sing it.
That's true. Make a dadgum good point.
I don't know if we needed to sing Foreigner when Foreigner was being played.
Come on. There was the late 70s rock version of Foreigner. Then there was the 80s pop version. Very different bands.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I think I might just take San Francisco in the survivor pool this week.
And just be done with it one way or the other by Friday.
I know they're staying out there. I just don't think that. I mean, I just don't think they're any good. I've listened to this guy tell me it for quite a while. $12.5 the Chiefs are favored by. Four spreads, 9.5 and above in the NFL. 4. No, Wes, we don't. We don't. The earliest will be sometime next week.
Paul, in amongst the Rays community, I said he's known as Randy. I don't think he's, reached Madonna quite like Peyton type status yet.
No, I understand, Wes. We thought it was going to be this week, but the West Flagler Group threw another wrench, and it's a certain amount of time before the D.C. Circuit Court responds, and there's a little back and forth with that. So the 25th is the date that we're looking at next of when things have to be filed. So that's why sometime next week seems like the earliest. Could be the following.
You got something here? Because I got ratings if you want it.
Let's go ratings.
Just how big
Colorado?
Whew. Whew.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks for spending time with us, getting over the hump with us. David Bearman in 35 minutes of Pro Football Network. Seth Everett in an hour. Bud Elliott to talk all things college football 90 minutes from now. Speaking of college football, have you seen the Colorado State ratings?
Oh, my goodness.
Game didn't kick off till 10:20 Eastern. Colorado State. All right. For those who haven't seen or heard about the ratings, and I know that now we've given you an indication they were really good, but this whole, Pac-12 after dark time slot that ESPN has popularized, that's basically what Colorado State were playing in. Last year, the average game in that time slot on the 4-letter network did 1.7 million viewers. That was the average Pac-12 After Dark game last year. Mark, did you see what the average viewership was?
Staggering.
The game went double overtime. It started at 10:20 a.m. It ended at nearly 2:30 a.m. Eastern.
And still averaged 9.3 million viewers.
That's a big number. I mean, a really big number. Like, CBS is going to beat that number like twice this year. And one of them's going to be the SEC championship game.
For Colorado State.
5th most watched game in the history of ESPN for any time slot. Here's also, first off, think about the presence then Colorado's going to have in the Big 12 beginning next year.
You know what? You're right. But just before we get to next year, already this year, Colorado's had 3 of the top 5 rated games in the country. The most watched games so far. The only other games in the top 5, Florida State, LSU, and Texas and Alabama. Everything else involves Colorado.
They did almost 4 million more viewers than Georgia, South Carolina, which was the number 2 rated game of the weekend. That's that 3:30 CBS time slot, which has done really well over the years. And by really well, I mean it's been like number 1 rated 16 of the last 17. So Colorado has now averaged 8.5 million viewers for their games against TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State. Yeah. You don't think this Coach Prime thing is real? Now, here's another thing. This is a very competitive weekend. The only time slot that's not that competitive is noon. Smart move by ABC. They're going to run Florida State Clemson at noon because they took a look at what's going head-to-head against one another at 3:30 and 7:30 and said, yeah, no reason putting this game there. It'll get drilled. But there's not many times that Alabama plays and they don't win the time slot. Mark, this might be a little gooberish, maybe a little too inside baseball because you and I do this for a living and we're really into it. But there's a part of me that wants to make a poll question maybe on Friday to be, which game wins the Saturday 3:30 time slot? Ole Miss, Alabama, or Colorado, Oregon?
Wait a minute. What? Did you just prep for a show 2 days from now with a poll question? That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy I need on this show. That's the see, you don't even realize this is what happens when a shape up starts. You just start doing things unexpectedly to continue the shape up.
I said I'm thinking about it.
That's the point.
I'm thinking about, when you start the shape up, you're like, you know what I really should do? I should increase my speed on the treadmill. You know what I really should do? I should also just, throw in a walk. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just thinking out loud. But I'll ask you, we've paid attention to this most of the 17 years we've done a show together. We're into this because this just in. See, when you do a show, you want to know what the people are watching. Because in theory, you would like to, throw meat to the lions. You guys are the lions. We're the ones that provide the meat. So, seriously, I don't remember, actually, when it's network on network. This is Ole Miss, Alabama on CBS up against Colorado, Oregon on ABC.
I think Colorado, Oregon's going to beat it.
Holy blank.
I really do.
Happens. If that happens, that honestly First off, the happiest people in the world will be the Big 12 commissioner. Honestly, he will just be, he will injure himself. You know, when you run around the house and you hurt yourself, you're so excited. Brett Yormark will end up in the hospital Saturday night. He will be, or probably about Tuesday night by the time the ratings come in. He will be so damn happy.
Yeah, this is the jerk moment. The new phone books are here. The new phone books are here.
Goodness.
Basically, he will negotiate a contract for life on Wednesday morning. See,
Totally.
I got Colorado. How about you hire me for the rest of my life? Here's what you're going to pay me. Okay? Everybody in? And everybody in the Big 12 is going to say, okay.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. And Colorado's going to have 2 networks, half their games on Fox and half on ESPN, because they split the Big 12. It's the only network that the 2 of them work together on. Although they did work together to eliminate the Pac-12, but that's a whole other story. I mean, this is a monster. This is a machine right now, this Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, Colorado thing. Did you hear all the NFL players being interviewed? We're like, oh, yeah, we had a game the next day. We're all up watching it in our rooms. We're all supposed to be asleep. We couldn't stop watching it. Yeah, we all got to bed about 3 a.m.
And the odds are they're going to lose to Oregon. They're a huge underdog, and then they play. I mean, they're playing the big noon game the week after.
Yeah, against USC, by the way, which means it's a 9 a.m. local kick. Hey, Fox doesn't care. It's
not one bit.
Machine. No. And
by
the way,
this sucker until she bucks.
No, and by the way, the 2 head coaches don't care either. This is what we got to do for eyeballs. We got to do. Besides, for USC, get ready for joining the Big Ten, baby. You're gonna have 3 or 4 of these a year.
Colorado hosts USC, so it is a 10 a.m.
Oh, it's 10 a.m.
Mountain start, but
gotcha. 9 a.m. for USC though. Telling you, just getting ready for the Big Ten. And this is Fox's way of also saying to USC, see, now that you're in on this, we could do this to you next year too. I know we said we weren't going to do it when we negotiated to bring you into the Big Ten, but, you know, what can I tell you? When you guys crush it against Deion, we're going to say, hey, we need you. Gotta take one for the team. We're the team. You think you're the team. We're the team. So 9.3 million people.
It's unbelievable.
Georgia, South Carolina did like 5.5. Florida, Tennessee did like 5.3. Think about that.
The biggest audience, the last late night audience that beat this was a Raiders Broncos game back in 2019 at a week 1 Monday Night Football doubleheader.
Now, I don't know if this, if they start losing, if Oregon and USC do to them what Vegas is saying they will do to them, get beat by like what, 3 touchdowns?
Right.
Then, do people go, oh, that was cute, that was fun, and they move on? If, 3-0 Colorado becomes 5-7 Colorado. But, I don't know.
There's going to be a lot that want to watch and see what Coach Prime is like after a loss. Trust me, there are a lot of people out there that want to see them get drilled. They're not all just watching, rooting for Prime.
Oh, no, I know. Hey, the networks don't care. Hey, you look at Deion, you see him wearing the white hat. I look at Deion and see him wearing the black hat. They don't care. By the way, for the record, Miller and Moulton, love Deion. Love Deion.
For years.
Yes, but since before we knew each other.
Loved him when I watched him beat my Spartans when I was in college.
I loved him ever since I saw him. He was a AAA outfielder for the Yankees, and he was playing a doubleheader in the dead of summer in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I was delivering for Domino's as a part-time job. And Deion, after playing, every inning of the doubleheader, and the team was staying at the Lackawanna Hilton in Scranton, about 10 minutes from the ballpark, right in the heart of our delivery area. And sure enough, he from the clubhouse, he called and ordered a pizza, and I was the one that delivered it. And Dion gets off the bus, and I am standing there with the pizza, and there are like 30 kids. It's midnight. There are 30 kids in line wanting an autograph. And Dion looked right at me and said, "You're going to have to wait." And so I sat down with his pizza and watched Dion sign all 30 autographs. And now his pizza's getting cold, mind you. Okay. Gave it to him. He gave me a very nice tip. And I thought to myself, well, there you go. Play, 10 hours at the ballpark, hot, sweaty, hungry, tired, the whole deal. Signed every autograph.
The people want
cheese.
What kind of pizza?
It was just a plain pizza. It was a small plain. It was $5.95. He gave me $10.
Look at that.
Wow.
And a big tipper to boot.
Yep.
Worth the wait.
There's a fun fact right there. David Moulton has delivered a pizza to Deion Sanders.
That's right. In front of the Lackawanna Hilton. I was in my orange and blue Domino's outfit and everything. Had the hat. Oh, yeah. Wasn't fat then. That's how long ago that was, huh?
Weren't even jolly, but you were after the tip.
But just for the record, we delivered it in 30 minutes or less. I waited damn near 30 minutes, but we had that pizza there.
Did you get heat from the boss when you got back because it took so long?
Yeah. He said, "Where the hell you been?" And I'm like, I had to wait. Autograph seekers? And he looked at me and I go, "Not for me. It was for Deion Sanders." He's like, "Deion ordered the pizza?" I'm like, "Yeah."
I don't think I've ever heard that story before.
We didn't know who ordered. Somebody called from the clubhouse and said, "Can you deliver a pizza to the hotel?" I didn't know it was for Deion until he got off the bus and said, "Hey, wait 1 minute." And I'm like, I'll be damned. I'm delivering a pizza for Deion.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges.
Yes.
Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
As if we didn't know it, Fort Myers Beach is officially over. Seagate, which is a huge development company, builds big boy houses. Just bought that red coconut RV park for 52 schmil. That's, if there's not any, I mean, the signs were already all there. We all knew the island would never, but that's like, to me,
yeah.
Seagate buys RV park. Bye-bye.
By the way, I maybe have not given the specifics, but I have said quite a few times I watched Deion, after a doubleheader in Scranton sign autographs, and I maybe didn't give the particulars, but I did mention before that and he made me wait. Maybe I just didn't put it all together, but this was like 89, around then, 90.
Just got a text from a buddy of ours. I don't know why he didn't send it to both of us. Guy that works in this building.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to order a It's Personal hoodie from Colorado Apparel, but as of this AM, I would like a shirt that says Lackawanna Hilton.
There you go. It used to be a Lackawanna's the county that Scranton is in, and it used to be the train station. And so that's why on the big building with pillars, okay, it's the Lackawanna. And so they turned the train station into the Hilton. And it was without question the best hotel in Scranton for a long time. We nearly put the restaurant out of business, though. They came up with a special, and it was within walking distance of the university. It was like 12 blocks away. And they came up with a happy hour, which was if you bought a drink, appetizers were free. Well, think about it. You're in college. Beers were $1. Well, let me get this straight. I go spend $1 or $2, and all the food you have out there is free? Well, all of a sudden, the word got out. We all got our fake IDs. Some of us are actually now of legal age. Yes, I had the stash at that time. Okay. Oh, my goodness. We would show up at 5 o'clock. There'd be 40 of us. We're going to pound this 5 to 7 happy hour for the whole 2 hours.
You know, it looks like we'd have a bunch of 0-3 teams.
Well, we got 9-0-2.
And 2 of them play one another. And the only other one that I think will be favored is the Bengals. We really may have a have and have not year in the NFL. Mine was Chi-Chi's, David. It was the Mexican restaurant Chi-Chi's, the chain.
Totally.
They had the big beers for like $2, $2.25. Big draft beers for like $2 that were like 32 ounce. And when the Pistons and Wings are both good at this time, if they were on, it was happy hour prices, and they had the free like nacho bar out. Chips, cheese, and salsa. I'm in. It was dinner more than one night with a few draft beers.
Totally. They had tacos. They had nachos. I mean, you should have seen us. Half of us of age, half of us not. Oh, my. We crushed it. They're like, yeah, we got to get rid of this. Yeah. Either that or start charging $5 for your beers. And this was in the late 80s, so that wasn't going to happen. It lasted like 4 months. It lasted like a semester. It was great.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. It's the Shape Up. Miller and Moulton's Shape Up. No, not physically. Hell no. No, as a show, we're tightening everything up. The poll questions by 6:30. And just, communication, every segment has a rhyme and a reason. No more tangents. Although we just kind of had one. But no, it's the Shape Up.
Baby steps. Let's slow down here. I mean, I've just got you agreeing to talk to me at night via text to get a poll question in.
Oh, man.
I don't know if I can start getting segments built in and around the nighttime hours.
Unbelievable. 8:45 last night, all of a sudden, these series of texts are coming. I'm like, oh, he's really serious about this. Please have an Oreo. Please. Okay. For the record, yesterday's poll question. Did ESPN do the right thing not showing a replay of Nick Chubb's injury? And 73% of you said yes. Miller and Moulton completely disagree, but you guys won out. Today's poll question. So when the Hard Rock betting app goes live next week, that's the expectation. Wes Flagler was able to file a last procedural thing and push it back a week. So the expectation is it'll go live next week. Will you place a bet? We gave you 3 choices. First one is, well, yeah, I placed a bet 2 years ago when that app was operational for 5 weeks. Yeah, I can't wait. Heard a lot about it. I'm all in. And the third option is, no, I'm not betting on sports. You kidding? I don't know anybody who makes money betting on sports, except Lee Sterling, and he's on our show 7 o'clock on Fridays. But anyway.
There are 2 types of gamblers out there. There are those that actually tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was with a buddy yesterday who always tells me the truth. And he's like, ooh, man, did I hit Monday night? I hit it this way. I hit it that way. I hit it this way. Now I'm not going to get into what happened on the weekend and how much chasing I was doing on Monday.
Right.
But let me just tell you how bad Saturday and Sunday were. So you know that all Monday was just taking a chunk out of what he lost. Then there's the other bettor who only gives you the wins. Up 7-0. Haven't lost in forever. Bank account's thick. Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Clipping at 80% this year.
So your buddy really needed that strip sack scoop and score, didn't he?
Was big.
Because the Steelers were getting like 2.5, and they were losing by 3. So unless he's got really fancy with his betting, he was potentially sleeping on a couch.
Well, he also had a New Orleans first half bet going too. Don't kid yourself. He was betting both games.
Sure.
I mean, when you dive into the pool, you dive into the deep end.
By the way, if you want to know, we were just talking college football ratings. 15.5 million people watched the Steelers game, and like 7 watched the Saints-Carolina game. So add it now. How many of them are the same people? You know, they were watching one, switch to the other. But you ask the question on Monday and Tuesday, why is the NFL doing this? Well, a normal Monday Night Football game does about 14 million viewers. Now, it's early in the season. You throw the Steelers in the equation. It's going to do a little more than that. But so that's kind of also, you know, what's the first game? Yeah, Saints, Panthers. You know how many people are going to see that game if that was on Fox? Yeah, people in North Carolina and Louisiana. That's it. I don't know if that game was going to draw 1.5 million people watching it, to be honest with you. And instead, you give it a national thing in the front end of a doubleheader, and you get about 6.5 million people watch it. That's why the NFL, once again, they're smarter than us. This whole draft, Thursday night primetime idea, dumb. Separating the first round and then the second and third from the rest of the draft, stupid idea, ridiculous. Can't believe they're doing this. Nothing was bigger than the draft noon on a Saturday. Okay, and a Sunday. Come on. And ESPN and ESPN2. No need to put this on network television. Who the hell's going to watch? See, they really do. Now, they don't care about the players, okay? And they don't care about you fans either. They care about themselves, and they're really good at it.
I'm intrigued, already looking ahead to this week's NFL games, because I think we've hit a point where there is there never used to be. I mean, the NFL doesn't want haves and have-nots.
No,
they want a bunch of 8 and 8. Well, don't do that anymore. But 9 and 8, 8 and 9s.
Right. They want haves and will be's.
But you look at this week, and 0-2 is bad. 0-3, you're done. There's a lot. Every 0-2 team is basically an underdog this week, with the exception of one. And a big underdog. The Texans are a big underdog to the Jags. They're 0-2. The Broncos are a big underdog to the Dolphins. They're 0-2. The Chargers and Vikings play one another. Someone's got to win the game. Patriots-Jets is interesting because the Patriots own the Jets.
Well, the Texans own the Jags. The Texans have beaten the Jags 5 straight times in Jacksonville. That's the intrigue behind that game.
And what's the Jets and the Patriots? Isn't it like 14 or something like that?
Yeah, there's hardly – I don't know if there's anybody on the Jets who's beaten the Patriots.
Panthers play the Seahawks. They're a big dog in that game. Cardinals play the Cowboys. Huge dog. Bears and the Chiefs. It's like 13 points for crying out loud. And then the second Monday night game, the Bengals are going to be a favorite against the Rams, I think. But we have no line on that right now because there's no Burrow and no word of how that's going to work out.
It is fascinating. So the guy leaves Philadelphia to become the head coach of Arizona. And the first 3 opponents they give him are Washington, the Giants, and the Cowboys. He must be thinking, what division am I in? But yeah, Mark, you're right. It looks like we could have a half a dozen or more 0-3s. And we don't get that.
No.
Not lately. Nope. Not in that league.
And of those 0-3s, we don't think a lot of good things about these teams. I mean, when you're thinking about the Bears, you're thinking about first overall pick. When you're thinking about the Cardinals, you're thinking first overall pick. You and I both think the Texans are a team that's going to be picking in the top 5 again.
Although it is interesting that either the Vikings or Chargers are going to be 0-3. And combined, they won 23 regular season games last year. 29 minutes after the hour. Time now for Felipe and the play of the day. What do you got?
Well, game 2 of a 3-game home series for the Marlins that is probably the biggest home series in Miami Marlins history. And I say Miami Marlins because they made the playoffs as the Florida Marlins previously. And they took a tough loss against the Mets on a controversial foul ball, fair ball, home run call. They needed to bounce back last night. And the newly acquired third baseman, Jake Berger, who has been on fire in his 44 games as a Marlin, was the hero.
Now the 0-2 pitch. And that is a line drive. Center field! Base hit! Base hit! A walk-off for Jake Berger! The Marlins win 4-3! Oh, they needed it in the worst of ways! Jake Berger, the hero! His 4th career walk-off hit! And the Marlins beat the Mets 4-3!
You can hear it in the passion of Marlins radio voice Kyle Seoff, just how important this run is. And the Marlins win 4-3, clinging on just half a game back from that final wild card spot with a couple weeks left in the regular season. Jake Berger, in his 44 games as a Marlin, has bat .310, has 8 home runs and 24 RBIs.
And that roar you heard in the background was the 10,897 strong.
Controversial?
I was going to say, it's first I heard about it. I read it was a fair ball.
It was a fair ball, and they called it foul, and it would have probably gave the Marlins a much-needed win that they need. They need anything they can get in this stretch.
They're half a game back of the Cubs for the final playoff spot in the National League. David Bearman, Pro Football Network, next.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Are we on all the apps and everything we're supposed to be on?
As far as I know.
Okay.
Why are you getting texts that say we're not?
Somebody took to 18 minutes ago and said, "Where's the show?"
Took
Can't
to
find
what?
it. So basically, somebody took to X, Twitter, and said, "What happened to the show today? It's not on in Southwest Florida." I said, "It's very much on. Where are you not finding it?" So I'm wondering.
I know it wasn't on earlier. I know it for the first half hour it wasn't on.
Yeah, but this was 18 minutes ago. He sent the tweet. So I just asked him, I go, "Where are you not finding it?" I will say, apparently the signals in the 239 absolutely suck.
They're horrible.
So if anybody's listening, I guess it's totally on the app. Right, Jimmy, we corrected that. Don't know why a switch keeps getting changed every day, but we're going to have to be cognizant of that every morning going forward.
That back tear is the only thing separating you from
David's on hold. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Seth Everett joins us at the top of the hour. Bud Elliott to talk all things college football 1 hour from now. But on this day and time, we always talk with somebody from Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. You can follow them on Twitter/X at PFN365. David Bearman, kind enough to join us this week. Listen, David, we'll get to this whole NFL thing in a moment, but let me get this straight. You played in a charity golf tournament yesterday that had a drink table on every hole, and every table had different booze?
That is correct. Every single table had different type of booze or different companies selling. There were 3 distilleries and 18 holes represented there. There was a food cart with a keg, and there was literally tables of bourbon and whiskey on every single hole.
And you're alive to tell about it. I mean, that's pretty impressive, David. I'm impressed that you're doing the show this morning.
Not only alive, but I won closest to pin. I don't remember doing it, but I did win closest to pin at some point during the day.
Did you not have to work yesterday because you and your cohorts went 7-1 betting the Monday Night Football doubleheader on Pro Football Network Monday night? Is that how it goes? If you guys reach a certain threshold on Mondays, you don't have to work Tuesdays? Is that how you guys operate things at PFN?
Plus 6 units is plus 6 units. That counts as a day off in some places. No, we all did work. I did have the day off for prior commitments. That's why I did that. I like to say it's because I used all the money from the wins from last week to go, some of which we gave out on air. But yes, it was a very good week for the PFN PFN betting team to go out there and go 7-1 last week, including getting somehow Pittsburgh on Monday night, despite them having 0 offense the entire game.
Boy, they look a mess and somehow got away with a very lucky victory. What, just underhanded, we're 2 weeks in. What's the storyline you're most fascinated with so far in this young NFL season?
I think I'm fascinated by how many not good teams there are in the NFL. We do power rankings every single week. We take our rankings just like, the college football rankings. We'll take our rankings from the week before and then do them week by week and see who moved up and who moved down. It's a panel of 5 of us at Pro Football Network. And I'm sitting here doing my stuff late Monday night for Tuesday, and I couldn't find anybody beyond top 6 teams, maybe 7. You count the Niners, the Eagles, the Chiefs, now put the Dolphins in that mix, the Ravens, and the Cowboys. Who else do you got? Seriously, guys, who else in the NFL do you have any faith could go ahead and get stuff done in February?
So you're not a believer at this day and time in, did you mention Buffalo, by the way, but Jacksonville, Detroit?
I might have mentioned Buffalo, but Buffalo's in there as well, so maybe 7 deep.
So Jacksonville, Detroit, Jacksonville lost to the Chiefs. Detroit lost to the Seahawks. We could mention Seattle for that matter. So I'm just curious, I thought you might say the number closer to 10 as opposed to 6.
Of those teams, I would say maybe Jacksonville, because Jacksonville did play Kansas City tough, and they're going to roll in that easy division. But no, I don't think Detroit, and you saw they were a little bit exposed on Sunday on their defense. I don't think they're a championship caliber team. I think they can win the division, but I don't think they're a team that I'm going to throw in the upper echelon of the NFL. And I feel the same way about Seattle, same team that couldn't be a depleted Rams team the week before. So I still would say that you look at Kansas City, Miami, Baltimore, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Dallas. After that, it's, Seattle's nice, and Detroit's nice, and Jacksonville's okay. But the only other team I would throw in there is Cincinnati if Joe Burrow's healthy.
Well, and that's obviously the $6 million question, because Joe Burrow's not healthy. They're 0-2. And if they don't get the Rams this week, it's no longer desperate. It's pretty much unattainable. I mean, it's hard to say must win in week 3, but it certainly feels that way.
It does, and I know people would say on the other side that Cincinnati started 0-2 last year. It still made it all the way to within one game of the Super Bowl. This just feels different. This feels like a team that's not firing on any cylinders. Yes, they were 0-2 last year without Burrow, but Burrow hasn't looked good. Last year it was 0-2 because Burrow had his appendectomy and didn't play at all. This year he's in there injured and doesn't look like Joe Burrow at all. And yes, 0-2, but 0-2 in the division with 2 division losses in a very tough division. If they lose to the Rams this week, it is good night for the season, and that's way too early for Cincinnati Bengals fans.
David Bearman, Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow Pro Football Network on Twitter/X at PFN365. Follow David on Twitter/X at David Bearman, BEARMAN PFN. David Bearman PFN. You threw out there and you said, hey, this may sound like a hot take, but it's actually a conclusion that I'm willing to stand by. You think Deshaun Watson is broken and never to be put back together again, don't you?
I do, and I don't really know the reason. I can't tell you if if a year off, how much that hurt. It didn't help him. I don't know what the training was like. He did have half of last season. It's not like he didn't play last year. He had an entire off season this year to train with his team and his coach. There was no questions about what team he's going to play on. At least last year you can say, well, I didn't know what team Deshaun Watson's going to play on. And then he got signed and traded, and next thing you know, he's a Cleveland Brown, and he has to be suspended for 12 games. But what I've seen so far out of Watson the first 2 games of this season is nothing good at all. He doesn't come close to looking like the quarterback he was in Houston. And again, we're not in his shoes. We don't know what happened during the suspension and all of that, but he does not look like the same quarterback, and it's eerily similar, but maybe a half a season behind Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson switched teams in the prime of his career, looked like a completely different quarterback last year, and hasn't picked it up this year at all. So between Watson and Wilson, you just wonder, what are they going to turn it back on again? And I don't see it. It's been too long for Wilson, and I saw enough of what I saw on Monday Night Football out of Watson to think that he is broken and not coming back.
And as you've pointed out, with Cincinnati off to their start, with Pittsburgh looking like their offense is inept, and if you're right about Watson, Baltimore is in the catbird seat early on, and it looks as if this offense, at least last week, has taken a turn that could be a really solid team this year.
Yeah, they are, and I liked them before the season started. I have a 20-1 ticket on them to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think what they're showing you is they're a solid team that's going to be there late in the season. With Pittsburgh having troubles, as you said, Cleveland doesn't look like a good team, and Cincinnati being 0-2, the Ravens could walk in this division easily. They look like they're firing on all cylinders, and keep in mind, this is a team that over the last 2 years, when Lamar Jackson was behind center, they were one of the top teams in football. The wheels came off last year when Lamar got hurt. They came off the year before when Lamar got hurt. So as long as Lamar stays healthy, this is a championship caliber team that we have seen before. We saw Lamar win MVP once before. The only thing we haven't seen is a deep playoff run because Lamar hasn't gotten that done yet. But I do think this team is capable of making a deep run in an AFC that is really not – I mean, it's still better than the NFC overall, but it's not showing right now to have those dominant teams we expected.
Well, and before we get to the Dolphins, one more point I'd like to make about the Ravens. You know, the Bengals have had their number. And that's a very good defensive coordinator and experienced defense. And they did something to Cincinnati they hadn't done with Lamar. They beat him throwing the ball from the pocket. Those wide receivers made plays downfield. Lamar got him the ball in big spots. You know, is this the growth of Lamar, the change in offensive coordinator from Knapp to Monken? I know it's early, David, and maybe I'm drawing too big a conclusion. But I thought we saw it all begin to come together week 2.
I do agree with you because that is a Bengals team that has figured out Lamar and the Ravens offense, which has been considered pretty one-dimensional in the past, which is why they haven't made it through the playoffs with Lamar's legs and just running up the middle and having short passes. But you're 100% right. What you saw on Sunday was the downfield game and Lamar throwing from the pocket. This is a guy who won the MVP a few years ago largely on his playmaking ability with his feet. He can start throwing passes downfield. This is a very scary Ravens team, as long as they stay healthy. They already lost their running back again. We'll see if they can continue doing what they're doing with backup running backs.
Miami's played 2 games. Tua's been, sacked once, touched twice. I mean, this is we thought the weak part of the Miami Dolphins was their offensive line. And when they lose Armstead for 2 games, it was going to get worse. Somehow their offensive line has played brilliantly, and Miami looks like world beaters right now.
They do, and that is the most surprising part. We talked about this on the show for weeks during training camp in the preseason, that the offensive line is the weak spot, and it's been nothing short of phenomenal. Not only has it stopped Tua from getting sacked, which is obviously a key with his health, and he's only been sacked once and knocked down maybe 4 times, but the Dolphins are doing something they didn't do last year. They ran the ball downfield. They were trick plays and gimmicks and stuff and using wide receivers, but they ran the ball right down New England's throat. And I think what the scary part about Miami is they have shown you in the first 2 weeks of the season that they can win different ways. Last year, our biggest question was, well, once they took away the deep threat in the inside game from Hill and Waddle, Miami offense looked different the rest of the season and crawled into the playoffs. The first game of the season, they used their downfield game and their slant game. Game 2, they just went right downfield with the running game. So they're showing their ability to adapt to different looks. And if that offense can continue firing, what we saw with the improvement on defense weeks 1 to 2, that is a very scary football team.
Is Dave Canales the new quarterback whisperer? Because he was quarterback coach, passing game coordinator for Geno in Seattle, grooming him behind Russ, and then he was helping to call the shots last year, and we have seen what has now happened to Geno Smith. And it looks, David, as if he's having the same effect on Baker Mayfield.
He might be, and that's, it's funny because we called Adam Gase the quarterback whisperer for years, and then Adam got his own shot at a couple of teams and it didn't work out. But this guy, I mean, you're just turning around quarterbacks that were left for dead between Geno and Baker. Now, we'll see Tampa what they can do outside the division and continue to play solid football. But from what you've seen from 2 weeks, if Baker can continue to look like what Geno did last year, that team might make some waves in their own division.
When you look ahead, the Chargers and Vikings play. Both teams in the playoffs a year ago. One of them is going to be 0-3. Do you trust either team this year?
I do not. I don't trust either team, and I didn't trust the Chargers to begin the season. They were a little bit of a dark horse sleeper pick for a lot of people, thinking, oh, this is the Chargers' year. This is the Chargers' year. This is still the same team who blew a 4-touchdown lead to Jacksonville in the playoffs last year. Starting 0-2. Going to Minnesota, I think the end is near. I think Minnesota wins that game in San Diego, or we call them San Diego. Los Angeles falls 0-3, and Staley's done. I mean, that's too talented of a team for this team to continue to play underneath the expectations and lose pretty much every close game they're in, although Minnesota's not much better in that case.
It happens in other sports. We've seen managers fired. I mean, the Marlins won a World Series firing Jeff Torborg in May. The Astros went to a World Series firing their manager in late July. We see it in hockey with a change. The Blues won the Cup, I think, changing coaches midstream. I mean, Art Shell's, it's the only time it's really worked in the NFL. You got to go back 35 years. The Raiders got rid of, I think it was Shanahan, for Art Shell and went on a nice playoff run. Okay, I mean, if we put a new coach in with the Chargers, do you think they'd make the playoffs?
I do. I think the problem is Brandon Staley, and I know he's considered a genius prodigy when he was coming up on the rant with our guy out in Los Angeles, the other Los Angeles team. But there's something wrong there in Chargerville. That what is it? You have a talented quarterback that's playing well. You have a talented defense. I can only look at it that it's the coach. And I think if you do make a move there, personally, guys, I wouldn't have brought him back. You don't come back from losing a 4-touchdown lead in the playoffs like they did to Jacksonville after having other issues all year. You don't come back from that. I had a buddy tell me one time when the night that the Falcons blew the big lead in the Super Bowl versus the Patriots, that he would have fired Mike Smith on the spot as soon as the Super Bowl was over, because teams don't come back from that. 2 years later, Mike Smith was gone. So same thing here. You don't come back from a blown 4-touchdown lead in the playoffs. I would have gotten rid of him in the offseason. I do think a coaching change there would help.
David Bearman, Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com, PFN 365 is how you follow the site. You follow him at David Bearman, Bearman, PFN. David Bearman, PFN. David, as always, thanks for your time. Glad you made it through the Pro-Am there, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, and talk to you next week.
David Bearman, PFN, joining us on Miller and Moulton.
It would be fascinating if the Chargers were to make a move this early, if they lose this week and were to make a move. But would you blame them? And I think you might just promote the OC, not go get anybody else. They've got the Dallas OC. I just named.
Oh yeah, Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore. Sorry, if they have someone there that they could slide in. The defense is playing lousy, and he's a defensive coach. If they go 0-3, you've got someone there that could get you through the rest of the year, possibly.
I wouldn't have brought him back, but yes. Mm-hmm. Everything that you said, bring in, you could keep Kellen Moore running the OC because I don't think they've turned it over in 2 games, and yet they're still 0-2. So you need somebody to help fix the defense. So I might bring in a defensive-minded head coach that's competent. Clearly he's not. Seth Everett, he's next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hi, Seth. Oh, he left too.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just great, actually. Busy, but great.
That's so nice. Busy is good. I'm pretty busy too.
Is it fall there yet, Seth?
Yes.
I miss fall.
I'm gonna have to put the shorts away.
Yeah. That never happens here, but I have to wear pants today, and it'll be way too hot for them.
Tomorrow,
I had to wear a long sleeve shirt Monday.
Oh yeah, where were you? Oh,
Pittsburgh.
you were in Pittsburgh. Yeah,
It was like 69 at kickoff. It was like 60, 62 at the end of the game.
It's cold.
Well, let's not get crazy, but plus I'm fat, so I mean, it's got to be.
I'm going to Yankee Stadium tomorrow.
Day game?
Nope. Checking in. Might do a podcast there, and gonna hang out. If I'm there past the fourth inning, I think I'd put odds on. I'd put some serious odds that I'm gone. I'm training it too. And the trains stink at the end of the night. So there's no way I'm staying. Save for a perfect game. That's the only chance. And I'll never see a perfect game because that's me. So, yeah, I'll be gone.
We want to talk about the Padres taking Blake Snell out. 7 no-hit innings last night. They took him out.
That's your sport.
Now it's you're going to Yankee Stadium tomorrow.
Sarah Lang says baseball's the best.
I sense
it's idiotic. It's idiotic, but that's what they do. So it's not the only one. It's not like it's the most egregious because other teams do the same crap. It's accepted. And if you're San Diego, what are you playing for? You want to save him for the next couple of weeks?
He's got 2 starts left this year.
Right. It's being facetious.
I get it. I really do.
So dumb. So dumb. Teams are dumb. Today's the Champions League.
Hence the T-shirt.
Oh yeah, this is my game day shirt. I usually wear this on Saturdays, but now we got these midweek games. I'm gonna have to adjust. It's year 3. It's year 3. I can't believe I've been following this team for 3 years now, or 2 and change.
I can't either.
I'm sticking with it. It's been great. 3:00 today. My whole day revolves around it. I'll have everything done by then. My kid needs me to pick her up at 4. That's going to be tough.
Well, it is halftime.
Well, no, we have the phone. I'll put it on the phone. So I'll listen to it when I'm driving.
I was going to say it's Jersey, man. They're very strict about the whole driving and the phone thing.
Yeah, they are.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Just like that, it's the 8:00 hour on a hump day. And, well, that's a jam-packed hour for us. We go Seth Everett to start the hour, Bud Elliott to talk all things college football to end the hour. Seth joining us once again. You can see him if you take in the show via twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. He is complete with his Arsenal t-shirt. You are your 14-year-old daughter with the Devils about this soccer team. You're honestly, what's gotten into you?
Well, she's 15 now, and boy, is she ready for training camp. That starts today, by the way. NHL training camp starts today.
Well, just a bonus segment coming up on Miller and Moulton about that.
Right.
Nothing like
Breaking
you know,
down
the 8:00 hour with NHL training camps opening.
Yep. Yeah, the penalty kill in Columbus, very important stuff to discuss.
Well, honestly,
let me have your phone first. I want to see what pictures are on it, Seth.
Yeah, what is your thought, by the way, on that? He's got a better reputation. I get it. But honestly, the 2 most veteran guys on the team said I got to be honest. I thought it was actually kind of nice. He showed us his phone, where it was kind of getting to know. Okay, you got a wife and 3 kids, and okay. I
It
mean,
was a weird one. Yeah. There's clearly something we don't know. I mean, that's always the case. There's something that we don't know. They were pretty adamant about the dismissal. I don't know. I also got to admit I didn't look. I saw the story and I was like, all right, this seems scandalous. I'm done.
How would you be if you walked into a job interview and the guy interviewing you said, "Let me see your phone. I want to see your pictures"?
I'd be like, thanks for your time. See ya.
Thank you. It's about as, I mean, it's creepy. And if a couple of guys liked it, I can't imagine the young guys thought it was a good idea, especially with his reputation of how well he's treated young guys in the past.
That TV show on Apple Plus, the morning show, the plot of, the early episodes of season 3 is the whole network gets hacked and all their personal data is being shown, to the world, and they're celebrities. And Reese Witherspoon's character is screwed. Jennifer Aniston's character is screwed because of the hack, and it's the same kind of thing. It's the exposure of stuff. What we put on these devices, even if you're the kinkiest person or the straightest arrow, everything there is personal and private.
What if, and I'm not saying he did it this way, what if the person interviewing you for the job just said, hey, you got a family? And you go, yeah, I got a wife and 2 daughters. And they go, oh, you got any pictures? Okay, would you at that moment be like, this is strange or what have you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking.
I'd say, yes, I do.
I mean, because in theory, they may have pictures of their family out on their desk and what have you. I mean, who knows?
It's the whole thing's weird.
Okay. Sports with Friends Hall of Justice. It's Seth's 2 terrific podcasts. He apparently does like 3-4 other things not so terrific. You can follow him on Twitter/X, or we'll just call it Twix, at Seth_Everett.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, we're going with it. It has not caught on. Kind of like Miller and Moulton. It is not caught on, but we're going with it anyway.
That's pretty good. Is that the first time you've used that line?
Publicly, I think. Yeah.
Are you going to use that line with Bud Elliott later?
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, we will. Okay, we'll see
Seth,
his
you're grumpy
reaction
today, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're grumpy today.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
But we got
Not
2
at all.
people in our Twitch chat room saying you're starting to sound like a grumpy old man. What's going on?
No. Hardly. Just
too fired up on
the
the Arsenal
Columbus
game?
story stinks. That's all.
Okay. All right. Didn't mean
does.
to bring you down. I mean, if we really want to bring you down, we can go Mel Tucker. I mean, if we really want to go down that road.
Or Blake Snell. That's another nonsense thing.
104 pitches through 7 innings. He's throwing a no-hitter. A no-hitter. The game is scoreless. He's been the best pitcher in the National League, even though Strider's from the Braves going to win the Cy Young. And they took him out of the game. What is Kevin Cash managing the Padres?
The weird thing is that it was a blip, because when it happened, everyone was like, oh, well, that's what they do now. That's what they do now? I don't understand this game. The rules are the rules, and the sport is faster. The games have a better flow to them. There's more base running. There's a lot of things that have improved in 2023. Stupidness has not been fixed. Can we make that a promo?
I wonder if we can Fox or ESPN or somebody who's covering the playoffs, can they use that on a graphic? That's what I'm wondering.
That's right.
Ohtani, do you think he cost himself any money? Do you think this will cost him any money?
Yes.
David does not. I think it will cost him money. David says no. He still thinks the Mariners are there with the blank piece of paper and, fill out what you want.
They might be, but now he's a liability. And, I've said this all along since the guy came up. I'm not, again, to the chat room, I am not grumpy.
Right. Well, we got that. We're all sitting on eggshells right now. Seth's not grumpy, everybody.
But when he burst onto the scene, I said then, and I said it to you guys, I said it on podcasts, how long is that going to last? In this modern era where guys are not durable, is he going to pitch and hit for 10 years? No. And if you were betting on that, you would have said no. And the fact that he's going to win his second of MVP in 3 years, he's remarkable. But he's not Babe Ruth. And you don't cultivate Babe Ruth because you wouldn't throw him out there. This was just a matter of time. Remember, the Angels were out of it, and he didn't want to have Tommy John surgery until he hurt his oblique. Because he wanted to play. He wanted to just hit. He's going to be an overpriced DH in 3 years. And a team that signs him to a 7-year contract or a 6-year contract for this exorbitant amount of money, I think teams are going to shy away.
Seth, no one's going to get him on a 6 or 7 year deal. Judge signed a 9-year deal. Judge is 2 years. I'm just saying that Ohtani's people are going to look around and go, guys, Judge got 9 years. He's 2 years older than Ohtani. I'm just letting you know. Okay, this is going to.
So you're saying it's longer? I thought.
Yeah. It's going to be 9 or 10 years. He's going to get 9 or 10 years, Seth.
They are going to hate that contract. If you think that is Pujols times 12.
Seth, 9 for 500 is what I think he's going to get, which is 55.5, by the way. Okay, he misses a year. Seth, that's the other thing about this stupidness in this sport. They assume
it's Kevin Durant thing where you pay him to sit.
Well, no. They assume every pitcher is going to have Tommy John and miss a year. Okay, now I will say this is his second.
Right.
All right. But he's not even yet 30. And the thought is that once you have the surgery, you come back, you give us 5 good years. I think the team that signs him is thinking we're going to get 10 years out of him as a hitter. 8 of them will be really good. Okay. And we're going to get 5 years out of him as a pitcher.
If so, put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't.
Yes.
I don't.
Because quite frankly, when you said he's Babe Ruth, no, actually he's better than Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth didn't pitch this long, this well, and hit. He was pitching mostly before he hit. Then when they stopped him pitching, then he became a full-time hitter. Ohtani was doing both at the same time. He's actually doing it better than Ruth did it early in his career.
How long does that last? Him breaking down was just a matter of when, not if.
9 for 500.
And the beating that he takes just from playing every day, even on his non-throw days, on his throw days, he's hitting all the time. I don't know. I have never been a believer. Let him surprise me.
By the way, do you make him a reliever? Do you make him a 1-2 inning closer?
Then he has to pitch every day.
No, he doesn't.
And be ready at a moment's notice. What if he's on second base and they need to warm him up?
Well, I understand it. I didn't say it's easy. I'm just saying. Okay.
I don't know. I think eventually he shuts it down as a pitcher. That's my prediction. That's always been my prediction. I said he's going to be a pitcher for a while. It's going to be a novelty, and then it goes away. I thought it would happen before he hit free agency. That's where I was wrong, and kudos to him. I love it when sports prove us wrong.
Seth, Arsenal going to win today? Is it an easy game? What do they have today? That's all.
PSV, we played them last year in the Europa League. I don't understand this whole thing. You're in the middle of a regular season playing these domestic games, and now you're playing this international game. The whole thing is so stressful. I don't know.
So 3 years into it, you still really don't have a clue what the hell's going on.
No, I do. I do. I know there's a goalie thing that they're going to start Ramsdale today. They went with David Raya over the weekend. I like that. Declan Rice has fit in nicely, but Kai Havertz hasn't. Bukayo Saka is still my favorite player. You understand anything I just said?
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice are the 2 podcasts.
I know my stuff. This Champions League is weird, and it's another streaming service. I had to get Paramount Plus.
I'm going to have to steal a password from you one of these days. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. What do you got, Seth?
Eric Fisher from Front Office Sports. We do a full-on sports business podcast. We tackle about 6 or 7 topics, including the Rays Stadium, including the realignment in college football, the streaming situation with the NBA. It's a very, very enlightening podcast. It's about 45 minutes of like nonstop issue. Eric Fisher from Front Office Sports. He's the guy behind the newsletters on that, so he covers everything. He's phenomenal.
Curious what you think of the Ray Stadium deal getting done. I mean, because St. Pete is not Tampa. I think their ceiling's averaging 20,000 a game. And we have David Sampson. He goes, it doesn't really matter what's the revenue from that. It's not the number of fans. But do you think this works long term? I mean, they're there permanently now. They've got no choice.
It just seems like it reminds me of the Marlins. It's not going to be as dramatic as the Marlins, but I don't think you fixed it. I think what you did was you put a band-aid on it. I don't understand putting a ballpark there. I think the location was part of the reason that kept people away, and the fact that the ballpark was an eyesore. This just doesn't seem to fix it. And from the pictures and the drawings, it was just okay.
They're trying to do what the Braves are doing, I think. Hall of Justice, what do you got this week, Seth?
Hopefully there's some tech issues going on, but Josie Campbell, she is the executive producer of the new Max series, My Adventures with Superman. It's great.
Seth Everett, Hall of Justice and Sports with Friends, the two great podcasts. Seth joins us every week. Seth, have a great week. Enjoy your Arsenal game today.
Go Gunners, 3:00 today.
Go Gunners. Okay. Gunnar Garrett, that's an old trainer from a hockey team I used to follow. That's as close as I can get to that. Miller and Moulton, Bud Elliott coming up in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's funny because sometimes when you're not frozen, you're just still, and you didn't have your mouth wasn't agape, so like your mouth was closed, and I'm looking at you going, is he gonna ask? Nope, he's frozen. Nope, there, it's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, there are times the same thing happens where you freeze on my end, and I'm like, okay, is he just reading something on his phone, and that's why he's not moving, or
right?
I have no idea how we pulled off yesterday. I mean, literally, they told me they were shutting that Wi-Fi down at 3 p.m. Monday, and it worked all through the show yesterday. Thank God. So my wife just came in and said, "Ooh, this was in the car. It's been in the car for about a week." Yeah, it's a bill. Good. Just left it in the car, huh? Because, we have to go back to the old place, check the mail. And I specifically say to her, don't check the mail. I'll take care of the mail. Because I do the bills. Nope, I got it. So, yep. So she couldn't resist. One time she checked the mail and then left it in the car. I love her. I do. I do.
It's something I would do. Your wife and I are kindred spirits. It's so funny.
Lee.
My wife pays every bill down to the penny like you do. It is flipping hilarious.
Yep. Thanks a lot, honey. Yes, that sound you're hearing is a check being ripped out of the checkbook. That's that sound you're hearing. In fact, now I have to find the new checks because I just ran out of the old ones.
Probably should have changed it to if the Hard Rock app goes live next week, not when the Hard Rock app goes live next week. But
yeah, well, that's all right. We could be wrong, but get people excited.
They are.
I think Colorado gets drilled. And I think Dan Lanning will throw 2 touchdowns on if he can. Remember, Dan Lanning was the coach when he was asked at Pac-12 Media Days about Deion in Colorado. Dan Lanning, I believe, was the coach that said, I'm trying to think, when's Colorado ever won anything in the Pac-12?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
With a reminder, Bud Elliott is 15 or so minutes away. We're part of a shape-up now, ladies and gentlemen. No, not a personal, physical shape-up. Although give it 3 days. Mark will say he's on another one. Me, no. Just for the record. Fat. Okay, and I'm good with it. But show shape-up. All right, we did a poll question. We need it early, first half hour. Got to get it posted. Every time we do that, people respond. We need to talk, communicate more, tighten up the show. So it's a new Miller and Moulton.
Back in the day when you could roll up a newspaper and whack the dog on the nose when it did something bad. That's what I'd like to do. It's not a punch that I'd like to hit you with. It's not stabbing in the neck worthy, but I'd like to just take a rolled up newspaper and whack you on the nose right now because you are question guy. You've always been the poll question guy. And yesterday we had a poll question, had great response. You and I were both really encouraged by it because it brought an element to the show of what we think the poll question can bring to the show. So I get excited, want to have poll questions, and all you've done for 24 hours is mock me.
You're right. You're right. It's the cynicism in me. It's the Jersey side of me is coming out. It is. There's no doubt about it. You're getting the total Northeast attitude and the negative attitude that can come out of the Northeast. You know, not the positive attitude. You're right. You are. I'm sorry. I probably owe you an apology. I should not. It's kind of like the friend in your life when you want to start the physical shape up. And, you know, or the partner that you're with, and he or she looks at you and is like, seriously, really, we're going to go through this again? Okay. And you're right. I'm that person in your life, and I should be better.
The poll question, for those of you wondering, and it probably should say if the Hard Rock betting app goes live next week.
No, because we're positive. Okay. See, we're being positive. It's not when. Okay. It's not if, it's when. See, I was positive when I proposed this.
Take that half full glass and pour it over your head.
I think my wife's going to roll up the paper and hit me for you, by the way.
I may ask her to. I may send her a text. Can you do me a favor? I know you still have a newspaper in that house. You're the only one that still does.
We'll say she doesn't hit nearly as hard as you, though. Okay, so when the Hard Rock betting app goes live next week, that's what they're saying. It'll be next week. So we went with it. When it goes live next week, will you bet? And we give you 3 options, not just yes or no. We want to break down yes. Yes as in, hell yes, I bet the 5 weeks it was open 2 years ago.
That's where I am.
And I didn't, but I'm a yes because I'm like, I will for the first time, get an account and everything. Oh, yeah. It's going to cause major problems in my marriage. Major, but I'm all in.
And then no. And right now, 4 or 5 of you, 80% of you are making a bet.
Huh? See what I'm talking about? Can't believe we were on the wrong side yesterday to the tune of 73-27. But this year, today, 80-20, baby. That's how we roll. Yep. Telling you, best damn schools, best roads. All right. If it was up to Miller and Moulton, we would have had this 10, 12 years ago, that we'd have the highest paid police, fire, teachers. The roads would be amazing. Hell, you'd stop at a stoplight. You'd get an espresso. I mean, honestly. Okay, if it was up to Miller and Moulton, you know, there's a lot of things we would have totally screwed up. But, man, we would have done this. It would have taken care of a lot of people. The schools would be, honestly, all the people the teachers that are leaving Florida because they'd be flocking here. They'd be begging us. No, I'll work for $50,000. $50,000? We're not going to pay you $50,000. We're going to pay you $80,000. All right. Fill out this form. That's if it was up to us.
And place a wager if you could. So we are encouraged. And there are a couple stories out there that the betting won't happen anytime soon. There are others that will say it happened next week. The 25th is a big date.
That's Monday.
Right. That's when we're expected to get something from the D.C. Circuit Court.
Well, we better get the right answer, okay? A lot of people have had things bundled up for a while now. They needed an outlet. And a betting app is an outlet. Got to get rid of some stress. Got to create new stress. Okay.
Well, and that's the one funny thing is of David and I, and we have an old producer. He never gambled. Never. When we talked gambling, was almost a little clueless about point spreads and over-unders and things, and then got used to it as time went on. He's the biggest addict of the three of us. Once he got a taste, he's bummed out when that Hard Rock app goes live. And that's the whole premise of this, of what the court case is it will just to be the Hard Rock app if this goes through.
I'm already being kind of threatened in our Twitch chat room. San Diego, that's what he goes by. And our Twitch chat room says, you know, I'm coming to Florida in a week and change, and I'm going to be there for 4 days. And if This app ain't working, Moulton. Okay. I'm going to say it's the equivalent of the sportscaster's jinx. Like, this guy's made 37 free throws in a row. Clank. Blake Snell has a no-hitter through 7. Oh, no, wait, he didn't give up a hit. They took him out of the game. 104 pitches. He's got 2 starts left. You're damn near mathematically eliminated for the playoffs. Okay?
Is he a free agent at the end of the year?
I thought he was.
And here's my only thing. If they asked him if he wanted to come out and he's a free agent, do you think he might have said yes? Why would you go out there to get a no-hitter, ruin your arm, and not get paid?
Yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. But he has a chance. If he threw a no-hitter, because he's going to finish second.
Doesn't get him $1 more next year.
Well, okay, I'd argue this. He's been the best pitcher in baseball. His numbers are better than Strider of the Braves. Okay, Mark, he's given up less earned runs than he has starts in his last 23 starts. He's been amazing. All right. But I think he would have needed the no-no last night to possibly win the Cy Young. I think he's going to finish second to Strider, but if he had thrown the no-hitter, then it would have been like, by the way, you all have not, I know the Padres have been a mess. Not this guy. Take a look at his numbers. They're better than Strider's of the Braves. Okay, but I think he needed the no-no to get people to take a close look.
And you're probably right, and I would hope that a pitcher would want to stay in, but I'm just saying, they're out of it. Was this a manager's decision? Did he ask Snell, and did Snell say, yeah, get me out of here, I'm done?
How many times are you going to take a no-hitter into the 8th? Also, I got 2 starts left. Honestly, I can't imagine. I mean, please tell me he looked at the manager and go, what are you, Kevin Cash all over again? What are there, 1 out in the 6th? I mean, think about this. He had a 2-hit shutout in the World Series. He got taken out in the 6th inning. He's throwing a no-hitter through 7. He's been taken out. Honestly, the next team he goes to, part of the negotiations, I'd be like, by the way, just so you know, if I haven't given up any runs, you can't take me out of the game. Put that in the blanket contract. He's 30 years old this year. He's making $16 million. He's going to be far and away the best pitcher on the market.
He's going to make a double that?
Yeah, probably. Probably going to be around 5 for 150.
Probably double that. He'll be just fine. He's taking this better than you are, I think, David.
Yeah, everybody takes it better than me. Part of my charm. So make sure you go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com, and just please vote in our poll question. It's part of our shape up. We need the vote tallies in order to keep the morale up so that we'll keep getting on the treadmill. I mean, posting poll questions.
But Elliott's next. I'm going to go for a quick shape up around the building right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down to talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, for the record, if Blake Snell wins the Cy Young, he gets $1 million. It's in his contract. If he finishes second, it's $500,000. Third, $250,000.
Okay.
Just saying.
I got you.
But I kind of went off about, Melvin pulling a cash and taking Blake Snell out. He had a no-hitter through 7 last night, 104 pitches. They took him out.
Oh.
And I said that he's probably going to finish second in the Cy Young, but if he threw a no-hitter, that I think he'd have a chance to maybe overtake Strider because he's actually pitched better than Strider, even though Strider now has 18 wins.
Cost him $500,000.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Never mind the fact that how many times he's going to take a no-no into the 8th.
Yeah.
But
Blake Snell. It was going to be a lot of pitches. I'm a guy that understands my body really well and understands the risk reward injury with pushing it. With how hard I was throwing today, it's not worth it.
Unreal. I'm very disappointed.
It's a business, isn't it?
Damn right. Guy's going to get paid, man. He's going to be a free agent. Interpretation, get me out of this game because I'm not going to blow my arm out in the 8th inning and a no-hitter in a game that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the move there is to act a little pissed off and then go tell the guy thanks for pulling.
Totally. He needed the lie there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably not pitching for that manager next year anyway, so he needed to totally throw Melvin under the bus. He'd be like, "Of course I wanted to stay in the game. I had a no-hitter, dummy."
So I thought I had to laugh. I got a group text with some guys, and we drink bourbon.
Nice.
And a guy sent the text that he drinks probably more than us. He's in Greenville, South Carolina. Sent a picture of Penelope and this other Wilderness Trail. But he said that Penelope tastes like Christmas in a bottle, very good. And the next text was Wilderness Trail's garbage tastes like Robitussin. So I've seen the Penelope. I've seen he had the blue bottle. I've seen the two. Have you had both, or have you not even cracked those yet?
Yeah, I've had all 6.
All 6.
Buddy of mine is a shareholder at Bourbon House in Nashville, which is it's the largest private bourbon collection in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh wow!
I guess there's something bigger in Japan, but like it's pretty wild. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a place I want to be. Screw golf. I want to be a member there.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. They use it for a lot of like fundraising stuff for charities and whatnot, and some corporate events there. But they have different rooms for like each distillery. So they have like turkey going back to like the 50s.
Oh wow!
It's like it's pretty wild.
I haven't looked. I get my Derby bottle every year of Woodford, with the horses on there. Things I save them and I don't touch them. I don't drink them. They just sometimes I buy 2 bottles and drink one. But I looked. The first one I have, it's only like 6 years ago. Those things are selling for $400. Those things add up pretty quickly.
Man, anything collector's item wise, they're going to go.
Yeah. I'm sure you could sell some of those Coke bottles behind you for more than
I scooped them for. Yeah. For, no doubt about it. I don't really want to sell them, obviously, but yeah, I think I could.
No, that's the same with those bourbons. I want to hang on them, and 20 years from now, I want to just say, you know what? Grab my kid and say, we're gonna what one of these we want to crack today.
Back in law school, I really didn't have very much money, and because obviously we're all broke college kids, and my buddy was like, "Hey, you should buy a case of this. It's like a really kind of unique product." And it was 2008, and it was Old Forester birthday, and I did, and so they were like $80 a bottle, and I think we drank 2, gave 1 or 2 away, for buddies' weddings, and so I still have 2. and now they retail for like $14K.
Oh wow!
It was like, whoa. So yeah, definitely not open. Like those two, I'm not cracking open anytime soon.
No,
that's
cool.
Like, yeah, very lucky.
Did you ask the question in our Twitch chat room? Do you like the Jefferson bourbon?
I do. Yeah. No, I think it's good stuff. Does the chat not like it?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. If you missed any part of the show, like David Bearman an hour ago, Pro Football Network, Seth Everett earlier this hour, you go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what it is you missed. He's really good at what he does, and what he does is college football. For 24/7 Sports, he's a part of a couple different podcasts, Cover 3, NoCast, CBS Sports Family. He's Bud Elliott. Follow him on Twitter /X at Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, the number 3, Bud Elliott 3. Okay, usually we throw it in underhanded, maybe talk a little Rays, a little bourbon. I'm coming hot and heavy. If Alabama had Graham Mertz at quarterback, how good of a team are they? Mertz, who's right now just showing to be a solid, competent, short stuff, 70% completions, I can manage a game quarterback. If Alabama had Graham Mertz, where are they ranked?
I still think they probably lose to Texas, but they easily could have beaten Texas with Mertz. I agree with you. Like Mertz is basically doing of him like what Florida's asking, right? There's a lot of stuff in Alabama's offense right now that just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, USF didn't necessarily bully them. They outnumbered them, and Bama just did not adjust to it. Texas did the same thing at times, right? Texas is like, hey, we're going to leave the field wide open. Jalen Milroe, like, are you going to see any of this, or are you actually going to take advantage of some of these things? Hey, like, are you going to actually flip the ball out to the receiver when we walk the corner up? Like, there are times in these last two games, you watch Bama, they are dead. Like teams have messed up the timing on some of these slot blitzes. They're walked right up. Like normally you need to check out of that. It's a defensive error, and they're just like not capitalizing on it. It's like with the opposing pitchers hanging a curveball, and they're just whiffing it. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, I think just competent quarterback play would make a huge difference for the Tide.
How much of this is on the offensive coordinator? The Alabama folks are all up in arms over the new OC. Is this the coordinator? Is this the court? Did they miss recruiting on these? I mean, 3 different quarterbacks played and have not looked good. Have they missed? Were the recruiting services wrong? Where is the problem inside the program, if you will, Bud?
Well, I obviously, since I work for the recruiting service, I'll never say the recruiting service was wrong. However, I think all of the recruiting services are going to be really wrong about the COVID year because we didn't get to see these guys in person like that. Across the industry, and I think the coaches will tell you this too. Like, it was like blind dating. We really didn't know what we were getting. I think we talked about this on the show. There's definitely some element of coaching going on at Bama that probably needs to improve. I kind of wonder if they're limited by their aspirations, meaning I think you could run a fairly functional offense leaning on Jalen Milroe's legs. Okay. But doing so is an admission that you're not a title contender, which maybe like they should realize anyway, because they definitely don't look like a title contender now. But it's hard to admit, especially if this is Saban's last year, which I am beginning to wonder if it is. Like, do you want to go out and not compete for the biggest prize? If you use Milroe's legs, I think there's a really good chance that they can win the West. They can be a 9 or 10 win ball club. Hell, maybe you don't lose again. But I do think running Milroe out there, due to how limited he is as a passer, if you're just relying on his legs, limits you if you really limits you if you happen to make the playoff, or if you did win the West and have to go play Georgia, right? Like, I think it's an admission, and it's a hard thing to admit to yourself. I think that's what's going on at Bama right now.
Is Lane coaching for the Alabama job on Saturday? Also, how seriously are we taking Ole Miss? Because they got Bama and LSU back-to-back. Bama on the road, wounded, as rough-looking as they've been in the last 15 years. And they get LSU at home. I mean, is Ole Miss at the end of this month, Bud, going to be in first in the West?
I think Ole Miss is going to lose both.
Okay.
I don't think Ole Miss's offensive line is very good, and I do think Bama's front is still pretty good. Like, Texas has a good O-line and blocked Bama well, but most teams won't. I don't know that Ole Miss's secondary is all that great. I do think Ole Miss is a good D-line. They'll probably give Bama some problems up front. Ole Miss is missing Franklin, they're missing Harris, and they're missing Prescorn. Like, those are their three best weapons outside of the running back Judkins. I think there's some chance they get Harris back this week. I'd be surprised if Franklin played, given that he really hasn't done a whole lot of practice stuff and he was a late enrollee. And Prescorn was still in a boot during the Georgia Tech game. So maybe he gets out of the boot and is able to go. This is kind of around the timeline. Like, if you really pushed it aggressively, when he could come back. I was kind of penciling him in maybe more for that LSU game coming up. But if they don't have those weapons, that's a problem, because Ole Miss's offensive line is not very good. Tulane really exposed them a little bit. Georgia Tech did not as much, but Georgia Tech's D-line is not good. So as vulnerable as Bama is, this is probably why a lot of the programs in the West are kicking themselves, because they're not they're not taking advantage right now. Bama's down, Bama's wounded, but everybody else has got their own problems to fix.
There's no doubt. Let's move to some of the other games that are going on. Ohio State, Notre Dame, which will be a huge one. Ohio State, the offense looked terrific against Western Kentucky after a couple of slow starts. The competent quarterback, Hartman's playing great for Notre Dame. How do you see this one, Bud?
So Hartman is really playing well. I don't think McCord's bad. He's clearly not what Stroud was through 3 games. They still have the receivers. I've been more impressed, actually, with both defenses. I think Notre Dame's defense has looked very good. They held NC State to under a 20% success rate. I think Ohio State's defense has looked awesome. I mean, Western Kentucky is one of the best G5 offenses. Now, their defense is terrible, but Ohio State defensively has looked great so far. It seems like some of these 5 stars that Ohio State signed, who are now sophomores and juniors, are hits. They look like they have real difference makers along the defensive line. Some of the young guys they were hoping would make an impact last year and didn't make that consistent impact. They seem to be dominating this year, and I read into that personally. So I actually like both defenses going into this game, despite all the Hartman hype.
If I took the quarterback out of the equation, is Ohio State the best roster in the country? Because I've had people say that to me, that if you took that, this is the first time Ohio State's going to play their big 3 games and they're going to be inferior at quarterback against Notre Dame, Penn State, and Michigan. Those 3 teams are actually going to have the better quarterback, which never happens or hasn't in a long time. Okay, but that if you take that out of the equation, Ohio State's roster is better.
I think you can argue it. Yeah. I don't know that it's clearly the best in the country if we X out quarterback, which, again, it's the most important position in the sport. But they have game records up front now, like Hall and JTT. They've got some real dudes up there. They appear to be better at defensive back. I still have some offensive line questions. We know that the receivers are studs. I mean, that's still the best receiving core in the country. Henderson, the running back, finally looks healthy. Finally looks like the guy that we had as the number 1 running back in the country coming out. Again, COVID year, so, hard to see these guys in person during that time because all the camps got canceled. But, yeah, I think you can argue it that way. I do. But Notre Dame looks really good, too. This is a game I'm super excited for.
So I'm texting with my son on Saturday, and he said, looks like Florida State's playing with their food. I thought that was a great analogy of how the first half went. And then the second half comes around, Florida State starts looking like Florida State, all to go play with their food again in the fourth quarter. Was it just a look ahead, or is it just the curse of going to Chestnut Hill? Florida State getting ready for Clemson, not what we expected last week.
Yeah, a couple things. I was pretty impressed with Boston College. The Castellanos kid at quarterback for them is a guy that FSU and Georgia recruited as a running back, and he really wanted to play quarterback. So he went to UCF, transferred to Boston College. Obviously, now that Plumlee's hurt, he would be UCF starter now over the McLean kid. They broke out a lot of the UCF offense in this. They're running quads into the boundary, some real kind of interesting Malzahn stuff that I think caught Florida State off guard because Boston College had not shown it through the first 2 weeks, and they were really trying to throw that knockout punch for the upset. And yet Florida State's up 31-10 with 12 minutes left in the ballgame. They get a fumble 6 going the other way. They drop a kickoff. Their ability to play good scramble coverage in this one was really exposed. And I don't know that's a long-term issue, but Boston College had, I think, 380 yards on 12 plays and like 450 yards total. So their other plays were generally dead. And then this guy's legs, I mean, if you get recruited to play running back at Georgia and Florida State, that's a different level of juice for the quarterback position normally. And so he threw just well enough, ran around a bunch, and gave him a lot of trouble. Offensively, it looked very grab bag to me. It was like Florida State's like, we're going to go and work on the stuff we want to work on. I'm not saying that Norvell didn't have a plan, but it didn't look like the sort of dedicated plan that you have for some of the bigger games. Like against LSU, it was very clear what they were trying to set up, what they were trying to establish. In this one, I kind of can't tell you.
Well, you hit on what seems to be the issue for Florida State because they rank 77th nationally defensively, and yet there have been times in which they look like the Florida State team of the 90s, in which they've got dudes and they can, disrupt everything you're doing, and then they give up a bunch of big plays in and around all of that. So, this is a virtual pick'em game. Florida State a 2-point favorite right now. Florida State, Clemson. Who you leaning with?
I am leaning Florida State. Clemson lost Nolan Turner, one of their better receivers. Walker Parks was in a boot. That's one of their linemen. I know Florida State's got injuries as well. I think this is where not using the transfer portal bites Dabo, right? Like Duke was pretty disrespectful to those Clemson receivers. Duke and Florida State run a very similar defense. We're going to find out schematically, obviously. We're going to find out if Clemson has answers for what Duke did to them in that first week. So I'm going to go with the Noles here. I think the firepower on the outside is the difference.
It's a law. I don't know if you're aware that we cannot do a college football interview without talking about Coach Prime and Colorado. And with the number of people that watch Colorado State, we'd be idiots to not talk about Colorado damn near every day. But they play Oregon. Is this when reality comes and gets them? Without Hunter, that's a big miss. This could be a track meet, and Oregon can run a track meet with anybody.
I mean, they scored 45 in regulation against TCU. They scored 35 in regulation against Nebraska, or 38. They scored 28 in regulation against Colorado State. The defense is not getting better. People seem to be figuring out the offense a little bit, right? They can't really run the ball. They are dead last in the nation in yards lost to sacks, which part of that is Shedeur really has a lot of balls to him, and it will sit in there and scan and take shots. Like, to his credit, he's very tough. Oregon, it's hard to get to Bo Nix. I don't think that Colorado has difference makers there. And if you don't get to them, we know their guys don't cover very well for long term, especially without Hunter. I mean, he's their best player on both sides of the ball and by a lot. So, yeah, I don't think that the 3 touchdown line is wrong. I think that's pretty solid. And they, like, Oregon at home, that's a pretty big deal typically.
And I think I'm right in this. Wasn't the Oregon coach the one at Pac-12 Media Days when he was asked about Colorado leaving, said, what have they won in this conference before anyway? So, I think there's those of us that are very much in Deion's camp. And then there's a whole section that if they have a chance to pull a Kirk Ferentz and score a touchdown with 30 seconds to go to help the numbers, they're going to do it.
So the other aspect here is that Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach, came up coaching for Kirby Smart. Colorado defensive coordinator Charles Kelly is a Saban guy. They basically run the exact same defenses. I'm very confident that Lanning can sit there and watch what Colorado's running on defense and say, okay, they're 3 games into this with a bunch of guys who just got there in the summer. Here are the checks they're not making. Here are the adjustments to formations that they're not making that can help Oregon expose explosive plays here. On the other hand, like, Oregon's played this defense for a while, so I think it's harder for Colorado to figure that out.
Very quickly, what do you take away from the Florida-Tennessee game for Florida and Tennessee? We got a minute.
So Tennessee didn't have their center and their right tackle, and that's not to diminish what Florida did. I thought that the kid that Florida got from Memphis, the transfer, was a stud. We liked him in the spring game a lot. We shot some TikToks on it. He destroyed Tennessee's backup center. I think that allowed Florida to get pressure and stop the run game without loading the box, without blitzing, right? That's a real key. That's basically what Georgia did to Tennessee last year. If Tennessee had both their guys, that may be a different game. Florida did not have a pass play over 20 yards. So we were still kind of searching for the explosive element for the Gators, but they played exactly the way they needed to play. They're a low margin for error team. And I think you got to credit Florida for executing at a really high level and understanding what their abilities and weaknesses are and playing to them.
So basically, you think Florida played pretty close to their ceiling.
Yes.
Now, with their schedule, though, that means they can go to Kentucky and win. They can go to South Carolina and win. They go 8-4 playing the way they did Saturday, right?
That's why I took Florida over their win total, because I'm like, this win total of 5.5 is pricing this like the worst Florida team we've ever seen, and I don't think it's a good team, but they certainly are not horrid, right? As long as they stay healthy, there, like they have some decent players.
He's Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 Podcast, Nolecast, the CBS Sports family. Follow him on Twix. That's Twitter and X combined at Bud Elliott, the number 3, Bud Elliott 3, 2 L's and 2 T's with that. Bud, as always, thanks. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy it, guys.
Bud Elliott. He joins us weekly at this time on Miller and Moulton. And you get to see him if you join us on the Twitch there. He's got the bourbon behind him, his Rays cap on.
Very hip. He went TikTok on our show.
He did.
Did some TikToks on it.
Right. I have no idea what he's talking about.
I'm aware. But you kept going like a champ.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm aware of what he's talking about, but I mean, unless one's sent to me, there's no way I go on that.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. The Diamond District Bonus Hour is next on the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6. And Grill, 11498.
Family of Southwest Florida, are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I will say Bud is very complimentary about us. He goes, I do shows all over the country. He goes, your guys' show is as good as I go on. So, which always makes me feel good. I will say he's loyal to us, though, because we were one of the first to, when he was still living in Fort Myers, and we recognized that, hey, this guy's got a little something. And now that
we're good at finding talent, we'd be a good consultant.
we really would.
We had Clay Travis on before he was a national guy.
Yep. The guy we've lost track of. What's his face with Big Ten Network, who just got hired by NBC?
Oh, I've got his number still too, by the way.
The Ohio State linebacker.
Oh, come on, Mark.
No, not Laurinaitis. No, he's with the NBC studio show at college football on Saturdays. He was on the 2014 Ohio State team that won the title. No, guys, you're going too old.
There you go.
Yes, Joshua Perry.
Joshua Perry.
Because he's trying to do less and less shows, Bud. But he's every year when I go, hey, he's like, absolutely.
I just sent you Joshua Perry's info.
Okay. Yeah, we had him on in our second act. I don't know if we've had him on in our third.
No, we've not.
Appreciate the kind words. I'm going to reach out to Gainesville today and just see if anything's going on. Whether they're... Because he told me that it was going to be one of two things. Either it's a business arrangement between him and Gainesville,
right,
or that he was just going to say, I can't work it out. So he was going to call me and say, do the same deal with them you do with everybody else and make the onus be on them. He thought that basically they would take the guaranteed money and he would sell it. They did ask about phone calls, and I told them our theory that we're not going to do it when we have a local number. And that the Odyssey guy did say, what if we paid for the number? I said, we'd take calls tomorrow. I said, now, we wouldn't take many. We'd probably take between 2 and 5 a show. I go probably 1 to 3 on average. But
here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
it is the bonus hour on a hump day. Man, it sounds like there's a lot going on there. Bonus hour, hump day, Miller and Moulton, Diamond District, bonus hour. A lot to remember there, a lot of alliteration. Here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Listen, we've already had David Bearman from Pro Football Network, Seth Everett, and Bud Elliott on the show. So if you missed that, you got to go to floridasportsnetwork.com later this morning and download what you missed. We got a hell of a show lined up for tomorrow already. Roy Cummings to talk Bucks, Jeff Cameron to preview Florida State Clemson, Dr. Roto taking your texts and tweets and Twixes and Twitch chat room comments and questions. Man, got a lot going on. It's like it's football season or something.
We had a poll question up at 6:25 this morning, David.
It's all part of the shape up, is what I'm told.
It really is. I mean, I did calisthenics in between during one of the commercial breaks.
And he did, ladies and gentlemen, because most of you don't take us in on Twitch. He did. I was giving him a hard time. I've not been supportive today. Mark is feeling it. He's got some energy. He's making the show better, and I'm bringing him and the show down. And I am, with my sarcasm and my Jersey snark and what have you. And so he's the one who called this the shape up. I'm making fun of it. So he's been exercising early in the commercial breaks to say to me, basically, to give me the finger and to say, like, hey, this is a real shape up, you blankety blank.
Just had Bud Elliott on, talked a lot of college football there. I'm wondering what the Gator fan thinks when they hear Bud, because he gives as honest of an assessment of the Gators as we get on this show.
Now, he was the one, though, all offseason who said, listen, this whole 5.5 over-under thing's a joke. He goes, they'll definitely win 6 games. But he did put the win over Tennessee in perspective, in which he said, hey, that's about who they are. Now, that's not good enough to beat Utah. Is that good enough to beat LSU? Is that good enough to beat Georgia? Is that good enough to beat Florida State? I got to tell you right now, I think there's a chance. In fact, I was thinking about this last night, and I was getting excited. See, this is CBS's last year doing the SEC. So the thought is, well, our last regular season game, Thanksgiving weekend, I mean, it's the Iron Bowl.
Right.
So, of course, it's going to be the Iron Bowl. Well, there was a time, like when we first started, when Gary Danielson signed on with CBS in 2006, and then I was lucky enough that he brought me with him. We did Florida State Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, we did an Iron Bowl or two. We made
every other year thing. If it was in Gainesville, you were doing the game.
Right. When the game was in Tallahassee, we did the Iron Bowl. When the game was in Gainesville, we did Florida State. And I'm just wondering, what if Alabama, first off, what if they're not the beasts of the West? What if it's like a 2-3 loss Alabama team against a 4-loss Auburn team? And what if it's an 11-0 Florida State team taking on like an 8-3 Gators team, and the Gators are playing that game and they're thinking, we got a chance to knock these blankety blanks out of the playoffs. They're going to go to the ACC title game. They're probably going to beat either Clemson again or not. If Florida State beats Clemson on Saturday, that's 2 ACC losses for Clemson. Florida State's probably playing somebody else in the ACC title game if they beat Clemson on Saturday. And I just got to thinking, I'm like, is it possible that we're going to go out with Florida State at Florida like the old days? I mean, you play programmer now.
Listen to everything that you had to say there. I know this Auburn team is nothing special. This Auburn team's going to be 8-3, 7-4 at that time.
Probably. Think about who Auburn still got to play. They host Georgia in a week and a half. They got to play LSU. The likelihood is they're going to have at least 3 losses. I mean, he can coach.
Well, all right, and they're going to be. Well, they've got A&M this week. They're an underdog. They have Georgia next week. They'll be an underdog. They have LSU after that. They'll be an underdog. Ole Miss, that's about a pick 'em at best for Auburn. Mississippi State at home should be favored. They go to Arkansas. David, they could have 5 losses. They really could. They could be a 6-5 team going into that game. They could be a 7-4 team going into that game.
Now,
but obviously, it all revolves around what Alabama's doing at that point.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't really matter what Auburn's record is if Alabama's in the national championship picture. Then you're
Right.
going to the Iron Bowl.
But what if Alabama is clearly not heading to Atlanta? Like, what if Alabama, because Alabama pretty much, first off, are we sure they're going to beat Ole Miss this weekend? Are we sure they're going to beat Tennessee in a month? Got to feel a lot better about the Tennessee game after what Florida did to them. But then again, we tried to make the point. Alabama right now would love to have the Florida quarterback that most of us couldn't trash enough.
Especially after watching him in that spring game.
Right. Oh, it's unbelievable.
He was awful. He was
awful. Awful. Just awful. And he completed 59% of Wisconsin. So a hell of a job by him and the Florida coaching staff to have him playing at the level he's playing at here, running this offense for the first time. But I'm just wondering, Mark. I mean, that's some of what I think's on the line. That Clemson could be out of the ACC title game in September. How crazy is that, considering what they've done to that conference since 2015? And B, it is Florida. Florida State was the Friday after Thanksgiving last year, and it was, we kind of need it for ratings purposes. Do you mind if we play the game here? Florida State, before the season started, was like, well, hell, we've won 8 games combined the last 2 years. We'd love to have that time slot. What if all of a sudden a year later you've got like an 8-3 Florida team, Napier having his Norvell season, and then you got Florida State back, you know. And now all of a sudden there's the Gators going, we got a chance to knock these guys out of the national playoffs. I'll be damned. I'll be son of a gun. Telling you, just wondering. Okay, just wondering if you're CBS. Just wondering.
It'll probably be Alabama. But if Florida State's undefeated, it gives them a chance to put Florida State on, which they don't do. Florida State undefeated makes the needle move.
And so does the Gators team with a pulse. And if the Alabama-Auburn game has no national relevance, and for that matter, has no SEC relevance. See, that's the point right now. My $20, you tell me, Alabama going to win the West?
No.
Is Alabama
going to win the West?
Okay. So basically you're saying once the first Saturday in November comes and goes and LSU beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa, they will have essentially wrapped up the West, or at the very least will have eliminated Alabama from winning the West.
The only part of this is what Bud said in our interview just a little while ago. This is rumored to be, if this rumor continues that it's Nick's last year, how big would it be for CBS to make sure they had his last SEC game? I'll throw that back to you. You're the one that knows the inner workings a lot better than the rest of us.
Well, obviously you would air Nick Saban's final game. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, CBS would air that over Ohio State, Michigan, to be brutally honest with you, even if they were both undefeated and ranked 1 and 2. I mean, if you're televising the SEC, but I don't think it's Nick's last year.
I don't either.
I don't. He doesn't really have hobbies. And I don't think he's got a standing offer from ESPN to replace Corso. And I think most of us feel that what ESPN has done with Lee Corso is very classy. He suffered a serious stroke. We've seen the effects it has on him. The love that Herb Street has for him and what they've done with Lee is highly admirable. I think most of us think that it's time. He's 87. I don't think that Nick is just coaching until that chair opens up, that he has this overwhelming desire. ESPN's got the blank piece of paper in front of him. That offer's been extended for years. I don't think that, really, we think Nick's going to, that's what he's Well, you know what? I'm getting kind of tired of this. Let me go pick games. I just don't see it.
I don't either.
And here's why I don't. He still is really busting it on the recruiting trail.
And if this year goes the way a lot of us think it goes, Alabama, does anybody really see Nick going out with a 9-3 year?
No.
10-2 year? I don't.
No. Nope. Don't see it. Nope. I think he wants to complete the transition, going back to playing the style of football that he first brought to Alabama. Okay. Kirby's turned the tables on him and shown him, you had the 4 first-round picks at wide receiver and the 3 first-round picks and second-round pick at quarterback. We all know why we changed, but you don't necessarily have to. You can go back to doing what you were doing your whole life. That still wins. The whole Chuck Noll quote, Mark, we use it often. When this sport becomes about something other than blocking and tackling, let me know. And I think Nick just needs to transition them and get them back to that. He's had a huge brain drain at offensive coordinator. Think about who his last 4 offensive coordinators were. Kiffin, Sark, Brian Dable, Bill O'Brien. Those are his last 4 guys who have called plays. Think about that. He's got Tommy Rees right now, who Brian Kelly did not take with him to LSU when he left Notre Dame. So we got a few things going on with Bama. I don't think Nick's running to game day. That's just me.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when. What's on tap? It's how we do things. We'll do that in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Adam, he's got a lake place in West Virginia. He's got a lake place in Georgia. I just. You might be right. I would love, absolutely love, for Florida State, Florida to be a monster national game again. God, that would be amazing. With the Gators looking across saying, just give us another year or two. Just you're a year ahead of us. Just give us, you're a year and a quarterback ahead of us. Just give us a little bit of time.
No, it is not on Black Friday. Florida will not play the game on Black Friday. It's on the Saturday.
Yeah, that was the Tallahassee thing. Florida hated it. Huh.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. It's the Diamond District bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us. David Bearman, Pro Football Network, Seth Everett, Bud Elliott have already been on the show. Download what you missed at floridasportsnetwork.com. You can go there or to that Mark Miller or the David Moulton. Vote in our poll question. That's right. We're going to have one of these every day. Up early, in fact. It's part of our shape up. That's what we're calling it. People sometimes have to have a shape up. You know what? Sometimes 17-year-old radio shows have to have a shape up.
Fresh, hot.
Yep. So poll questions every day, bright and early. Okay, it's like making breakfast. All of a sudden you wake up and then there you go. It's like, here, breakfast is ready. It's healthy. It's good for you. That's how we feel about our poll questions. And when they fire up that Hard Rock betting app next week, okay, are you going to use it? You going to bet? That's our poll question. By the way, it's not official that it's fired up next week. We're taking a little leap there. That's kind of what the tea leaves say, that, you know, that early next week, at this time next week, we'll be able to use that app again. And so we give you three choices. The first one being, hell yeah, I used it 2 years ago. The 6 minutes it was working. Then my answer, didn't use it last time. I'm going to be all over it this time. Going to get in a lot of trouble, in fact. Going to be all over it. Then the third answer is, hell no, I don't bet on sports. What are you, crazy? All I hear about is you guys losing money all the time. So how many people are gambling?
80+%.
There you go.
And 60% were doing it before.
Yeah. Wow. Really? Wow.
Someone did text the show that I still got money in my account. I took mine out as soon as I knew that sucker was going down. I'm like, I'm not leaving a dime in that thing.
We have a mutual friend. I think we're advising him to clean the account out every day. Just do a daily thing. Take your money, reinvest, take your money. Anyway, so that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Florida Sports Network .com. So there you go. You excited about this college football weekend? Is this one of those weekends like pro football dominated last weekend? The whole who's going to start off 2-0, who's going to start off 0-2. This feels like this actually the hype leading into the weekend. You know, we don't have the sexiest of NFL matchups this week. You went through it. A bunch of 0-2 teams that are underdogs, likely to be 0-3.
And the college football weekend is just fantastic. I'm jacked because college football doesn't give us, it's such a short season. College football is such a limited window. And when the first 3 weeks don't offer a whole hell of a lot of games, you realize 25% of the damn year's gone for some of these teams, and we've not really seen who they are.
Well, and after this weekend, a third of the season's.
But this weekend, we got games.
We do.
Teams have.
And we've got noon, 3:30, 7:30 games, too. They're spaced out. Good move by ABC. They put Florida State Clemson at noon. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. 3:30, you want to watch Dion? You can do that. Want to watch Lane and Nick? You can do that. Okay, there's a bunch of other Pac-12 games that are out there. You got Oregon State, Washington State, UCLA, is playing, I think, Washington.
Utah, right?
Oh, Utah. I mean, hell, they got 8 teams ranked, so there's a good chance of getting 2 ranked teams playing each other. And then, of course, at night, I mean, it's an interesting Big Ten game. Iowa at Penn State. Can Iowa muck that up, keep it low scoring enough? But, I mean, come on. We got Ohio State, Notre Dame, both in the top 10, both legitimately in the top 10, too. We don't feel like they're ranked that way because of their name.
And Ohio State's a 3-point favorite on the road.
And Notre Dame is the better quarterback. That is the one thing I know I said it with Bud Elliott. There are a lot of people that I talk to that think Ohio State, you take the quarterback out of the equation, has the best roster in the country this year, that it's better than Georgia. It's even better than Michigan in some key spots, that there might be a little more explosiveness with Ohio State on both sides of the ball than anyone else in the country. But, this guy's playing his third game. He looks okay. Notre Dame's got Sam Hartman.
And Ryan Day's got to win big games.
Michigan's got their guy. Penn State's quarterback's a 5-star guy who, quite frankly, he makes NFL throws. He's better at this stage than Ohio State's guy is.
I thought Ohio State took Bud's right. Western Kentucky's offense is not that great, but I thought Ohio State needed the type of game they had last week to get some confidence before Notre Dame because the offense had not looked very good for 2 weeks.
I agree with you. And and Western Kentucky's defense is not good when they put 62 on it, but Western Kentucky's offense is good, and Ohio State held them to 10. The thing I also liked about it, Mark, is that the Ohio State kids, we're not looking ahead to Notre Dame, if you know what I mean. They're like, no, we need to get better. We need to play. We need to get better.
So I can't wait for this weekend to sit down and just spend 12 hours in front of the television ignoring my family while I watch college football. I'm even lucky enough that the weekly soccer game's Friday night this week. So
nice.
I don't even, I can get a full game day. I mean, I can start at 9 a.m. if I want to. Although the new whole remix song, what the hell?
Listen, you know my feelings on this stuff. If it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Don't try to fix it. They did this with Monday Night Football 30 years ago, too. You had, what's his face there who was, are you ready for some football? And people liked it. And then, midway through that run, they decided we need to do something different. Why? We're ready for some football. Let's go. No, just let them keep singing. It's all good. Yeah, I know. I haven't had many people who like the remix. A lot of pressure on them. Listen, they just apparently missed on the remix. Well, they got to come up with SEC theme music in a year because CBS has taken that with them. That's CBS's music. Most people don't know, by the way, they actually used that music 3 years before they started doing the SEC in the mid-90s. They actually used it on a Super Bowl. I believe the Bills-Redskins Super Bowl in Minneapolis, they used it on. Could be wrong. But so, Mark, if they got the, game day music wrong, the pressure on them to get the SEC music right in a year.
I want to be on that focus group. That's what I want to help decide.
I say you make a trade. You just call up CBS. You go, listen, we're making a deal. Joe Buck got traded for a Purdue football game. Al Michaels got traded for rights to a cartoon. I just think you call CBS up, you make a deal.
I do too, but what do you think it's worth to CBS?
Oh, it's worth a lot.
That's what I thought.
But
I don't know if CBS would part with it.
Oh, well, first off, I'll say this. If the SEC called, they'd never part with it because CBS a little honked that the SEC fired them. But the networks actually kind of work with each other at times. There's always an edge.
But that's an identity.
Right. There's no doubt.
You don't give up an identity with the network. I don't think CBS would trade. I really don't. Broadcast, trade them.
But, okay, is the identity CBS or is the identity the SEC? That's what CBS is trying to say. That's our identity. All right. You tell me. They've aired 2 Big Ten games nationally. They're going to air a third Saturday night. You tell me when you hear that. Do you think CBS college football or do you think SEC?
CBS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to make sure you're shopping with the best. And the best when it comes to GIA certified diamonds and diamond jewelry is not online. It's not in the malls. And it's not with any of the new pop-up jewelry stores trying to make a go of it here in Southwest Florida. The best place to buy diamonds is with my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, who have made Southwest Florida their home for over 20 years now. The largest selection of GIA certified diamonds is with the Diamond District. The only place you'll find diamonds 8 to 10% over cost is with the Diamond District. America's top bridal designers have chosen the Diamond District to represent their engagement rings exclusively in Southwest Florida. Simply put, the best selection, experience, and best prices are with Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, rough tough. They're not going to trade it for advertising. You got to give them a game. You got to give them something they can make money on. Also, Fox was really cool with the Joe Buck thing. Man, they could have been. First off, they could have held him to the final year of his contract. And Fox and Joe had such a good relationship, and Joe was literally able to pick up the phone and call the top person at Fox and go, "Hey." And so they, Fox wasn't going to hold ESPN, feet totally to the fire here. Kind of need a clean game Monday night, though. People now say there's a Monday Night Football curse. Last 3-4 games, we've had Damar Hamlin, Rodgers, Chubb. We're like a couple away from an SI jinx here. Oh, Nick, don't get me started. I actually think it's a mistake by the SEC to have gone all in with one network, even if it is the number one college football network. Because the other thing that it set up, Nick, in my opinion, and I'm not just saying this, because fortunate enough to be part of it, but it's set up now 3 networks ganging up on them. And all into your biggest competitor, so to speak, for money and ratings. They clearly were unhappy. This all goes back to Clay Travis wrote about this, by the way, when Clay Travis was nobody. Clay Travis wrote about this 10, 12 years ago, in which he said, CBS is making a mistake here. When Texas A&M and Missouri joined the conference, the SEC went to CBS and said, hey, could you throw a little more money on the table? And CBS went, no, we're good. Read the contract. We're good. Those schools don't bring anything to the conference. And the first 2 years they were in the conference, Missouri went to the SEC title game both years, and A&M had this quarterback you may have heard of called Johnny Manziel. So CBS picked up the phone again and was like, or the SEC did, and went, you sure? How about, come on, how about a little something for the effort? And CBS went, no, we're good. And so the SEC went, okay. You've got a long memory, My own theory, though, is that because, the SEC left CBS 3 years ago. That's odd timing. You always make more when you get a deadline. You get pressure. But what happened 3 years ago? Oklahoma and Texas announced they were going to the SEC. I will go to my death thinking that was orchestrated. The way Fox and ESPN just orchestrated the demise of the Pac-12 and what schools are going where. I am of the belief. I have no information. It's just a gut feeling on my part. I thought it then that there might be a quid pro quo, that ESPN said, you go with us and you go with us now, we'll bring OU in Texas. And Sankey went, really? And they said, yep, we can do it. Which
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
home stretch on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District bonus hour. Todd and Jason, the good folks at the Diamond District. Right off 41 there in Estero. Check them out if you're in the need. All right. You need jewelry. Well, best prices, great service, couple of good guys, welcoming staff. I don't know. They've been kicking butt doing it for 20 years. They must be pretty good at it.
They passed somewhat successful a long time ago.
You know, they really did. Really did. All right. They think we helped them. So, you know, they're good to us, which we're appreciative of. And we probably did help them back in the early days. You know,
We help them these days too. Don't act like this audience isn't willing to go spend some money on a diamond.
Well, that's true. I mean, hell, they're willing to bet on the games. So we've seen
Until that app's open. Get to the Diamond District and use that money.
Right.
Buy your wife something before Saturday so you can watch college football for 12 straight hours.
Before you lose the money gambling in Florida, go buy your wife or girlfriend or that special someone something nice while you still have it. Because let's face it, you're not that much better than Miller Moulton at picking games either. Don't kid yourself. Don't fool yourself. You're not.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
So we had the other day that the Star Spangled Banner was written. Today it was published as a song. Francis Scott Key, of course, the writer of the song for the lyrics. John Stafford Smith did the tune. Today in 1881. What's that?
I'm sorry. Where was it on the Billboard charts? I'm just curious.
It peaked at number 3.
I love the fact you didn't hesitate at all. You just made that up.
America the Beautiful was number 1, and Oh Canada was number 2.
Oh, it's the anthem top. Oh, I figured God Bless America was number 1 and a polka was number 2 back in the day. But anyway.
1881, Chester A. Arthur sworn in as our 21st president.
Well, here's the key there. You know, he was the 3rd president that year. Because it was 1881. So, you know, the other guy who got voted out, his term was the first couple months of 1881. And then was it Garfield? Who got shot?
Garfield.
Yeah. And so then he died. And so then we went with Arthur. And let me tell you, Dudley Moore would have been a lot more effective than Chester A. He was terrible.
1913 at the Country Club, Francis Ouimet wins his only open title in the 18-hole playoff.
Yeah, but that was the match, right? I mean, wasn't that the famous one? Didn't he beat no?
He beat Varden, Harry Varden, who was the great British player. 1924 at the French Lick Country Club, Walter Hagen wins the PGA Championship. 1933, the Pittsburgh Steelers, playing as the Pittsburgh Pirates, play their first NFL game. They lose 23-2.
Offense hasn't gotten much better.
Kenny Pickett at quarterback. Ford Frick becomes the 3rd baseball commissioner today in 1951 with a massive $65,000 per year salary. Got a 7-year deal. That's $65,000 a year.
Tough following Mountain Landis there.
Ernie Banks hits his first home run today in 1953. Today in 55, Willie Mays becomes the 7th player to hit 50 home runs in a season. 1968, Mickey Mantle hits his final career home run, number 536. 2 things happened today in 1969 that are one sporting, one bigger. The concession at Royal Birkdale. Nicholas concedes a 3-foot putt to Tony Jacklin for a draw in the Ryder Cup. And John Lennon tells Paul and Ringo that he's leaving the Beatles. 1973, Billie Jean King beats Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes tennis match.
And we look back at it now and we go, wait a minute. She was at the top of her game and she was 29 years old. He was 55. what did we think was going to happen? And trust me, most everyone in America thought that Riggs was going to kick her butt because he had just beaten, like 6 months earlier, Margaret Court 6-1, 6-1 in one of these celebrity matches that everybody forgets about. So that's another reason why Billie Jean King was like, I'll take him on. I'll beat him.
Today in 75, the U.S. pounded Great Britain and Ireland in the Ryder Cup. Arnold Palmer was the captain. 1976, Playboy releases the interview with Jimmy Carter, running for president, which included the quote, "I've looked at a lot of women with lust." 1979, the great cover of the Clash's London Calling album was photographed at the New York's Palladium when their bass player smashes his bass. Blizzard of Oz by Ozzy is released today at 80. The U.S. wins again in the Ryder Cup today at 81. It was the last for Nicklaus as a player. He would win all 4 of the matches he played in. The Cosby Show premiered today in 84. Walter Payton rushes for his record 107th touchdown today in 87. Today in 88, Wade Boggs is the first player to get 200 hits for 6 consecutive seasons. 2013, Grand Theft Auto becomes the fastest entertainment product to reach $1 billion in sales. This Is Us debuted today in 2016 and made everybody cry.
Oh, for goodness sakes. I just had to put up with that with my wife. I'm like, what? I mean, we already went through this. It was called 30-something in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, with the whiny yuppies. I mean, what? We're doing it again?
I remember watching the first episode with my wife. We looked at each other at the end of it. We're both got tears in our eyes. I'm like, what are we doing? Wasting an hour to feel this way.
Oh, my wife was all in. Greatest show ever, she said.
In 2020 at Winged Foot, DeChambeau wins the U.S. Open in the COVID year. Red Auerbach, Tony Nobis, and Guy Lafleur all born today. Sophia Loren's 89 and Juan Pablo Montoya's 48. What did I miss, David?
I don't know. These things, I don't know if they'd normally make the list. This kind of got lost in history since he was shot and killed 2 months later. Kennedy, after beginning his administration by saying, we're going to, end the decade by reaching the moon, he actually proposed on this date in 63 that the U.S. and Soviet Union should do it together. 63 was like a détente year between the two countries after the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy was feeling it. So he said, hey, how about if we save some money and do this together? Show the world we can work together. Russians were all for it. Americans were like, what the? And you remember Louganis in the Olympics when he hit his head?
Cracked his head, yeah.
Well, today was the day after. And a day after cracking his head, he went out and won gold because he was Greg Louganis.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Berlin for the good, where an 18-year-old got caught under the tire of a commuter bus. A swarm of bystanders jumped into action. There were 40 passengers waiting to get on the bus when this 18-year-old was pinned underneath. They realized that they had to push. And basically the men helped lift the bus off to get the man's arm underneath out. There happened to be a trio of waiting physicians that administered first aid on an injury to the pinned arm. He was taken to the hospital and apparently will be okay after he underwent surgery. But wow, that's quick action.
Okay, help me. So how many people, how much weight again? Was this one of those, the adrenal glands kicked in and you're doing things that you otherwise wouldn't normally do? Or
I mean, I guess they just rocked it and pulled it over. But yeah, I mean, it was a bus.
Yeah.
Like a city bus.
I got it. Oh my God! No, they're big. They're heavy. That would seem problem. You want me to do? Want me to do what? We got to move this bus. Where are the keys? Right. Wait. You want me to move? What?
For the bad, we go to Bonita Springs, where a maintenance worker, home watch guy, checking on his house on Hickory Boulevard, one of the nice ones. He noticed a dog when he walked inside, and a black suitcase laying on the floor. So he called 911, and they found 54-year-old Louisa Villa, who had moved into the home. She lives in Fort Myers, but while inside the beach home, she told deputies she was the homeowner, showed them fake paperwork, and claimed she had just bought the home. When they called the actual homeowner, they said they didn't know who the hell it was, and she was taken to jail.
Did she at least freshen the place up by some potpourri or something?
No, she had helped herself to a sandwich.
Oh.
How long were these people gone? Hopefully it was tuna fish. I mean, what are you leaving bread around for that long? Finally, the ugly, we go to Buffalo, where a 29-year-old naked man was found at the new Bills Stadium site. He was covered in feces.
Oh.
Officials said he was under the influence of a mixture of drugs, including alcohol, LSD, cocaine, and marijuana. Erie County Sheriff John Garcia said, when you're taking LSD, cocaine, and marijuana, you're not going to read the signs. You're not going to read anything. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, September the 20th, 2023.
So, do we know, is Messi playing tonight? Inter Miami's playing Toronto.
So
do we know if Messi's playing?
I think that he is playing because he posted a post on his Instagram story promoting the Apple TV Plus MLS package with him in his Inter Miami jersey. So if he's promoting the package, one would assume that he makes an appearance tonight on the field.
I think he gets paid by Apple TV, whether he plays or not, but you could.
Oh, I mean,
I think it is a safe assumption.
Certainly he's getting the bag regardless, but
because he didn't play over the weekend in Atlanta. That was the first match they kept him out of. That was on turf. It looks to me like Inter Miami's on the road in Toronto. I have no idea if that's true, but if so, whether or not that's turf or not. Even though Messi said when he came over that he would not object to playing on turf, let's face it, it's not his preferred choice. So there is that going on at 7:30, Apple TV, the whole deal. It's a hump day, so there's a lot of baseball, but there's a lot of day baseball. There's, in fact, 9 afternoon games out of 15 today in Major League Baseball, but both the Rays and the Marlins are playing tonight. The Marlins are on FS1 at 6:40 against the Mets. They're a slight betting favorite. Meanwhile, Mark, the Rays are minus 225, facing Reed Detmers with his nearly 5 ERA for the Angels and only 3 wins for the lefty all season. I nearly broke into Brockheimer there. I was halfway to Brockheimer and pulled it back. And the Rays are big home favorites tonight against that out-of-control lefty, Reed Detmers.
And Mr. Brockmeyer, I would have been heading to these games had Ohtani not been done for the season. I circled these 2 games a long time ago and said, ooh, after the show, Felipe and I were going to this before he even had the job. I looked at this in June, May, when I looked at the schedule and said, how about that? The Angels are coming to Tampa late in the season. These could be big games. Ohtani could be pitching, but for sure we're going to go watch him play.
Or so we thought. I'm glad I got to see him pitch because I feel like those days are numbered severely.
Well, you won't see it again until 2025. He's going to be a DH next year. Or, well, yeah, he'll have to DH because they don't want to play in the field. They don't want him throwing. Although, in theory, he should be able to play the outfield by after the All-Star break next year For an
Yeah,
outfielder,
you're not going to put that kind of money on the table and let him play one game in the outfield. He is going to DH every damn game. And anybody who suggests anything different will be fired or traded immediately.
boss, I just said in theory. Boss, don't fire me. I said in theory, boss. Miller and Moulton, if I'm allowed to come back tomorrow.
Yeah.